It.
Yeah.
We all ready? Recording's
Yeah.
going, OBS cooperating, Twitch stream is going. Wonderful. Okay. Let's get some as joyous and chill as we know this session is going to be. We actually left off on a pretty intense note. So, let me just set the mood slightly. We cut back to the center of the Pale King's temple to himself. It's quiet, the kind of quiet that speaks. The Pale King's corpse has tumbled from the banister, splattered against the cold floor of his own temple. The mist that he was attempting to summon up vanished and dissipated. You see as well as I think Suma, after having dealt the killing blow, immediately rushed over to where Zisha lay unconscious. Those of you who may still be in the area, actually, let's cut back briefly to that map just so we can have some context as to where everyone last was when all of this went down. Sorry if this map gives you flashbacks. Gallet, I believe you were hovering around the Pale King's throne, near where Portia was. So from your vantage point, you actually watched Portia dispel the feigned death from herself, reach out, counterspell the Pale King's attempt to flee, to evoke magic in order to get out of the situation. Um, uh, which Sumo was able to deal the killing blow right after. But as you were sitting right there in the area, you turn and you watch as the Pale King's body slowly disintegrates into mist. And it doesn't strike you, I think on sight, it doesn't strike you as he's getting away or this was an illusion. It's almost as if his form itself is returning to whence it came. There is no question as to the kind of the finality of that, but it is strange. While you would expect the corpse to just kind of lie there until you guys did something with it, it melts into this like thick, congealed mist that slowly crawls along the floor until dissipating into the air. All of you collectively take a sigh of breath. And Suma, you rush to Zisha. Helm still upon you, still going to be on you for a little bit, and the associated effects of that. Actually, you toss the helm away. You
I
toss the
did.
helm away, and as you crouch down by Zisha, part of it is you kneeling to check on her, and the other part of it is just collapsing with exhaustion, just
Mhm.
allowing gravity to overtake you as the effects of the helm, allowing you to cling on to life, boom, vanish away from you, and even as the helm's taunts and goads and promises echo in the back of your mind, you look down at Zisha, and all you can see is that she's badly hurt.
I would grab her wrist gently as I can and run the blade of the healing dagger across, um, just to bring her back to consciousness.
Yeah, you watch as you slice open a neat line, and as the dagger glows with a faint green light, little crisscrosses of like tiny miniature vines and leaves kind of like sew that wound shut. And you watch as like the little bit of blood that drips down like glows a little bit with this faint magic energy as vigor is returned to her once more. She opens her eyes and she says, "Did we do it?"
It's over. It's done. He's dead.
Where are where are the drow? Did any of them survive?
Um, Suma points at in the direction of where he thinks they are as haste wears off and he's stunned for 1 minute.
Ah,
So
yes.
he just sort of points and then is speechless for a little while.
Um, yeah. As this is occurring, this little moment that they are sharing, Ruby, Ilok, and Gallet, what are you guys up to?
Mm,
Alak immediately healed himself with his healing hand, saying,
Okay.
just in
Uh,
case.
patches yourself up slightly. Um, Ruby, what about you?
Mm, Probably checking out Portia.
Cool.
I think
Yeah.
I'm on the lower level right now, but maybe like I would start heading up towards her.
Yeah, yeah. She's like right here. She's like lounging upon the throne, like having just like gotten up from like feigning death. Gallet, you were in the area. I believe you were hovering, but I think you can
yeah,
kind of
yeah. I
touch
go back
down.
to the ground. I take out my healer's kit and give it to Edward Dose and order basically him to find anyone that might be needing it because it seemed like there's probably a lot of people no longer under control. So he's just gonna
Yeah.
look around for people.
There's for sure like people where it was like, a combination of non-lethal and lethal attacks were done to a group, like a whole horde,
Yeah,
where maybe some of them had non-lethal damage done to them and some of them did, and there are maybe people who are kind of threading that line, who might still yet be stabilized. You two, as you gather kind of like where this throne is, you see Portia sit up, stretch a little bit, her like little stumpy legs kind of like hanging off of this throne that was meant for this giant illithid. She says, "Ah, man, you have no idea how much of a strain it is to lay still for that long." Mm. Looks up at you and goes,
And you did make it a longer spell, so I
"Yeah,
feel
that
like
true.
you have enough flame.
that's
Mm,
mostly because the original one is like bullshit. Like, in what situation
mm,
would you need to like look like you're dead for like just an hour? It's pretty niche. Uh,
also,
but she looks around kind of at the carnage. There's like, the dead mage that had toppled from this banister on this corner. There was this corner. Are these like, a few dead soldiers here. There were no archers in this room, thankfully. That might have gone differently if there was. Um, you watch as she goes, "Well, it looks like everything here has been taken care of. Seems like it was a hard fought victory."
yeah. Harder than it needs to be. I think without your intervention, at least, would have been helpful.
Would have been less helpful than you'd probably think. She hops up off of the throne and she says, "There's a lot of people that need tending to. There's a lot of people who are very confused right now and likely very, very angry. I imagine there's gonna be a lot of cleanup that's got to happen, but once you're all done with that, finished licking your wounds, healing yourself, taking care of those that uh, can still be taken care of, you'll find my cottage right where I left it, where the rift used to be. Feel free to join me whenever y'all like. I'll have some tea prepared for you and a milk."
You're not gonna. Mm, right, for the weirdo. Are you not gonna stay and help? I mean, you know
Um,
these people, after all.
I do, but my magic ain't the fixin' kind.
Mm.
I can, however, do this. She snaps her fingers, and you all watch as like um kind of like in a very macabre kind of way across the temple, like all the different like hordes of like fallen drow, um those of the ones that are still living are like separated up from like whatever, where they had been left upon the floor, and you watch as like they kind of come like floating in almost as if borne upon like these invisible stretchers and are kind of taken into the center of the temple. You see she says, "I ain't too good at fixing people, healing things, but I understand that there are some of you who are much better at that than I am. Um, here." You see, she places a hand on your shoulder, Ruby. She gazes deep into your eyes for a moment, and it's weird. Like it's this intense eye contact that you. It feels as if she's looking straight through you, and briefly in her eyes, you like see just like endless like starlight for one moment, and then she takes her hand off of you, and you feel that all of your spell slots have returned to you.
Ruby, you okay?
That should be enough to take care of what's left.
What happened? I... You okay, Ruby?
How did you do that? When do I get that spell?
What just happened?
Ain't really a spell, it's more of a. Let's just say that living much, much longer than, in my opinion, anyone should be allowed to live comes with its own set of benefits, especially if you are good at managing your time and also love learning things. There's lots that you can learn, I think. And I think that the conversation we'll have in a little bit will prove to be very fruitful. But y'all have been through a lot. I'm sure there's much going through your head right now. I think you owe yourselves a moment of congratulations and a moment of reflection and a moment of just catching your breath before you want to dive into anything else. She looks at you, Ruby. She says, Mass healing word should do the trick. And then she snaps her fingers and teleports out.
Count it! I don't have a spell slot. Okay.
Yeah, she didn't do it to you.
Yeah.
I think Sigma still could technically. Oh no, Sigma's stunned.
Yeah.
Well, the
Alright.
stun only lasts for 6 seconds.
She
So.
talks
Yeah.
real fast. No, I'm just
No,
kidding.
so Ruby, you feel like you got a lot of healing in you now?
Yeah, I guess somehow she gave me back all my spell slots. I don't.
Alright, we'll take it. Alright then, I'm sorry everyone, but we can't rest yet, it seems. We should, get the people we can save, so, let's round up everyone that needs help in this building. Seems like the most sanitary and only building that's left standing, really. And, Ruby, you stay here and heal the wounded. That sounds like a good plan. Alright then. Alok, you too, you're on healing duty. Alright, and I guess we just bench a
Just
force?
need someone to ring the bell so I can get some extra.
Here's the bell.
Yeah.
Hold
Healing.
on to the bell.
Yeah, you can
You
bring
got-
back. You see, we're gonna fast forward a little bit.
Bring in the injured. Dingly, dingly, dingly.
Through this process, you watch as like you employ your yumbats in kind of like delivering people who maybe have like injured arms and limbs who are unable to like get themselves to the temple. Kind of bringing people up and knocked unconscious to kind of do a lot of like the grunt work and like taking people that can carry people on their back, kind of fly them into the doors. Now that the field is gone, they are able to freely roam the temple and roam the grounds. And you all, get to work. A lot of these people seem, when they come to, it is as if something has been taken from them. You imagine they were all, described as like thieves, the worst of society, the outcasts, and they were there for a reason. The truly desperate, those who were refused by everybody in the Underdark. And you perhaps would imagine them to be like ruthless individuals, or perhaps have quick tempers, or perhaps like immediately not be having any of the shit after this experience. But as more and more of them come to, the temple kind of fills up kind of with people who like, instead of bearing arms or loudly demanding answers, kind of just like sit cross-legged upon the floors or against the walls, almost in shock and in disbelief. Their minds had been gone from them for so long, and it comes as a bit of a huge blow to them as they are coming to. I think it also dawns upon you that as they gather here in the center of the temple, you know for a fact there were hundreds of people living in Kalasana. There are not hundreds of people in this room. You guys look around, and it's like whether it was through your personal hands, whether it was due to the stone elemental rampaging, whether it was due to the Pale King sacrificing them on purpose in order to create the field, there is so much less people here now than there were before. And the image of that is, I think, especially cuts through because you were staring down whole hordes of them before. You felt their numbers, and you can feel now the diminishing of those numbers. Um, as they gather, they seem to turn to you as you kind of like finish up the last of taking care of who can be taken care of. As they do that, um, you watch as a young drow you kind of come up like he had been like sitting like legs hanging off the banister, legs like idly kicking back and forth. You watch as he kind of like pops off of it, kind of lands very agilely onto the ground and very slowly approaches kind of like where you guys had been gathered, just raises a hand and goes, I have a question.
Yeah.
Are you the kings now?
Oh, not. We're not really gonna stay here in a governmental position. We do not have current plans to do so. We're just here to sort of help with the transition of what was your governmental type before all this? Sir, what's your name?
My name is Adain.
Adane. All right, Adane. I'm Galatabate. Nice to meet you. We killed the previous king. So what can you tell me, Adane, about previous government positions before? Was it all just a democracy? Was it more of a one king situation?
Well, people didn't really there wasn't really much organization beforehand. There were people who hunted, and sometimes the people who hunted shared their food in return for favors, and the people who did those favors were done favors in return by others. It was mostly just we worked together to make sure people got what they needed. Because out there, and you see he kind of looks out towards kind of the vast underdark looming in the distance past the walls of the temple. Out there, there is no guarantee that any of us will ever get what we need or that we will be provided for. And if you are not going to be in charge, I am looking around and I think we have lost most of our hunters. I do not know if we'll have enough food.
Hmm.
Um, yeah.
Oh, I was just gonna I was gonna do that like a turn and whisper to Suma. Hey Suma, how good is previous city on refugees?
Right. Where's and he looks around to see if Zisha is anywhere.
You see that she had been kind of like in a corner of the temple, like having a personal, like one-on-one conversation with somebody who was wounded. And you actually recognize in the heat of the moment that it is one of the members of the hordes, that one of them that she had personally taken down and injured. And from what you can tell using your male wife intuition, this screams to you of an apology. This is her very sincere like apology face. She kind of turns almost instinctively as she feels like people are talking about her, and she kind of scans the situation. She walks up to the dais, up onto the platform, kind of like places a hand on your shoulder, Gallat, and be like, "I will speak to them, Captain."
All right, I'll trust you in political affairs. I look to Suma. Is Suma cool with this? Insight on Suma. Uh, what's Suma on about? Let's see.
What's Suma doing?
What's Suma
What
on?
the wizard
What
doing?
the wizard doing?
13?
Like,
Um,
and in reference to her handling a political situation with these people and seemingly a weird past history. I think. I don't know.
he's like in general very like kind of spacey and out of sorts right now, but he looks very relieved that um Zisha is sort of taking over the reins of this conversation. Seems to be totally comfortable with her doing that.
Hmm. All right.
Do you get that?
All right.
Um,
Zisha, just let me know what's your final plan when you get there.
she stands up on top of the platform, and you watch as she looks behind her at the throne, and then like very deliberately like steps down from the platform. And so she's either like looking at the people standing now on the floor in the eye, or looking up at the people standing upon the stairs, or like chilling out on these little platforms up there. She looks at them and she says, "The governments and the kingdoms and the monarchies of the underdog have done you all a disservice. I'm sure there are those of you who came from Yasar and understand that I was complicit in that." She bows her head and she says, "There is no amount of apologizing that will ever wipe away the sins, the type of sin that a government commits to its people. And while I offer one today, regardless, I would much rather offer something else, rather than just the same tired words I'm sure you've all have heard before from a litany of other leaders. I promise you that all of you will have a guaranteed place of refuge within Yasar. Your needs will be taken care of. I swear this on my life. This will be a process that takes time. It will require your trust that I would understand if you were unwilling to give. But I promise you, in a month's time, all of you will have housing, food, and prospects for a better future. You have my word." And you see somebody kind of in the back, like a woman, an older drow woman goes, "This is bullshit. The matron would never stand for this, not even for her darling daughter. She's fucking lying to you." And you see Zisha like bites her tongue, and she says, "The matron will not be having a say in this discussion." You hear like a quiet like murmur of a gasp kind of go around, and she says, "It is due to the inaction, or perhaps the lack of care, of leaders like her, regardless of intention, that has led to hundreds of our number ending up in places such as this, where the very air steals from you years off of your life. I will be succeeding her very soon. When I am matron, you have my word, should that mean more to you in that circumstance." And you watch people kind of turn to each other and like start talking about this. This is big news. The matron's been the matron for like hundreds of years. Um, and she looks at you, Suma. I'm assuming you probably would have stood next to her, like close
Mm,
by somewhere. She turns to
yeah.
you and she says, "I will handle the work of, well, I will be beginning the work of helping these people, my people, as best as I can. They need care at this moment. They need someone to listen and someone to direct their anger at for a while, and someone to ease their confusion. I understand that there are questions that need to be answered at the wizards. I trust you to retrieve the information and share with me what is needed. But as of right now, I am needed here."
I had a feeling you'd be going back. They need you more than we will in there. Is there anything I can ask for you?
Ask her how best to kill the bitch that took our daughter.
I will put it exactly like you.
You have my gratitude. She turns to the rest of you and says, as do you. You were all remarkable fighters. And I doubt that any of us would have survived if just one of us wasn't here. Thank you for forever easing my worries that this one over here, looks at Suma, this one over here is ever going to be in danger ever again. With friends like you, I'm sure he'll be fine.
Thank you. But can you tell him to just like take a chill pill a little every once in a while? He's been really intense recently, and I understand, but like he's it's getting to a degree of bad. So like when you have like a moment, just remind him, hey, breathe, meditate.
Well, you know the saying, teach a man to fish and you feed him for a lifetime. So I'm gonna let you know a little secret.
Okay.
You want to calm him down?
Yeah.
Ask him for a game of pie show.
I mean, last time I won, so I don't know if that's good for him. You know, when you lose a
That,
game.
that, that was Dragon Chess, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, no, but
Yeah.
Gallant thinks they're the same thing. Okay, I'll win again, but I'm just saying that usually gets me riled up a little bit.
Right. Well, from one captain to another. Good
Oh,
luck
yeah.
up there.
Ah, we'll be fine. We did. This is the hardest part. I'm sure of it. This was really tough. From now on, smooth sailing.
Well, let's hope so. She kind of like looks gravely and she says, all of this smells like war to me. I can smell it in the air. There will be war. There will be conflict on a global scale. I want you all to know that by the time it comes around, I will have the whole of the Underdark behind you.
There is one more. I don't know if it's like you would know. You probably don't, but like since you're going to be working with the people, I've really been trying to get some info on Lolth, and I just like it would be really big if you just asked around on that.
She goes, have you ever been betrayed by somebody?
In a sense, but not in the normal way. So like halfy.
It is said that the easiest way to contact Lolth, being a very, let's say, ornery goddess, is to come to her at a moment of great betrayal and pray to her. It is said that she will empower you the ability to take revenge for yourself.
Okay, that's gonna be hard to orchestrate someone betraying me, but I'll think of something.
Also, in case you were ever curious, um, I would say that the city within the Underdark that has the biggest reputation for still worshipping her in parts would be the city of Mayara. It is the city beneath Barvault. And for a context, there you go.
And Barvalt's
Well,
the trade city, right?
the trade city where presumably Aliceris was like kept for a while he was still in this like weird state, and that old Captain Greenhide broke him out of at some point as part of something. Um, a lot of stuff happening in Barvault. That's where the biggest shield headquarters is currently located. Um, as well as kind of like it is the busiest, most thriving city upon Palea. All facts which I believe both Ruby and Suma would be pretty well aware of. Yeah, so kind of do you guys want to do anything else within the temple, kind of like as Zisha gets back and starts like kind of like giving out her proposals and kind of like identifying like this is a community which has been trampled upon, um and she's kind of trying to determine like what their needs are, and like there's going to be a lot of talk about like how do we make sure that like the people who are here because they murdered a bunch of people are kind of like put in a situation where they're not like literally dying, but also like where justice is still done and some. So there's a lot of talks that kind of have to happen around that, as well as like the logistics of like housing these people. From that a lot of people in Yasar would most likely look down upon being in the city, knowing how they feel about outsiders. Especially coming from like different cities and like kind of having been outcast. So that's gonna take a bit before you guys can straight leave for Porsches right now, or if you guys kind of want a moment to like discuss amongst yourselves what you want to talk about, or just like do any other kind of preparations, her door is open whenever, so you guys can kind of take your time to do that.
I think if everyone's pretty fine, let's chill a little bit and have a meal, huh? Everyone's does everyone want a bum rush? That's no.
I could use a little relaxation.
Okay. Let's have a meal and hey Suma, are you feeling up for some history lesson? Cause
What kind?
I'd sort of like to understand what Yasar did to here, or the people here. I feel like there's context I'm missing with the matron.
Well, nothing that I, as a player, know,
Yeah,
but
go ahead and give me a
maybe
history
Suma would
check.
know.
I'll say history check with advantage because you definitely refer to stuff a lot.
Yeah. Oh, but it is a normal roll because I'm
You
exhausted.
are exhausted and can't super think straight. Oh, but
Well,
Nat 20 is going to do it. So, Zisha has definitely vented to you at length about this. Kalsana is essentially a dumping ground for every city in the Underdark to be like, here's the people we don't want for whatever reason. Um, there's people here who are just like, um, maybe they were an heir that people didn't want to be the heir. And so to like a certain kingdom. So it's not just Yasar specifically. It's just that Azisha sees this as like a symbol of what happens when leaders are ineffective or don't care enough about their people. They allow a situation like this to flourish. So it's not just Yasar. This is like essentially the runoff from every other city kind of pooling in one place and being left to die. Um, so you would know that like there are some emissaries from Kalsana who have like asked for aid from Yasar that the matron denied, claiming that like probably blaming it on the Allseer, telling her that it wasn't a wise move, um, and stuff like that, or she's like refused resources. There are a lot of fucked up situations that can happen, wherein like this is a community that in a very awful place where they don't have a lot of resources to build themselves up and grow, where food is scarce, living itself is a struggle, just breathing the air is directly harmful. Um, and aid from the various ruling bodies of these cities routinely denied them assistance, um, maybe scraps, if that. And that it kind of everybody knows that this place exists, and everyone's just like, yeah, people are dying there, but they probably suck, right? And having it had like this, it's like this sense of like people who commit crimes are sent here without any anything consider any consideration given to like what were the context behind those crimes, like why, like, you know what I mean. In certain cases it's like maybe you stole from that place because it was really the last place you had to eat, and then they knew they would have died in prison, and so they ran away, knowing this was a safe haven for people that like anybody in the cities would be turned away. And so it is stuff like that. It is less a crime of it's violence done by the upper class to these people, um, but not necessarily direct violence. It is more a symbol of neglect, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's Kalsana.
Say all that.
Oh,
Exposition.
Yeah.
that was a lot. I thought you were a bit tired, Suma, but I guess you really know
You
your
know me,
history.
I could talk about history for any amount of time.
How's everyone doing? This was a lot. Like, whew. Alok, you
Uh, well, I
Suma,
don't
by the
feel
way, is
amazing.
pointedly avoiding any eye contact with Ayla. Just by the
Alok
way.
probably the same. It was a
Good,
little
yes.
awkward. Yeah, but he's not going to confront you. Uh, well, uh, certain had better it is.
yeah, it's definitely been rough down here. Eh.
He just looks off.
Yeah, as you guys talk, you exit out of the temple. You start walking back along the roads built into the marsh. Parts of your boots squelching into the mud, except for Ruby's, who kind of just glides on top of the water in the mud with that ring of water walking. Um, you guys walk through, and I think at a certain point, as you guys talk, you pass by where the stone elemental had its rampage, because that was directly in the. It was sent down the most direct
Yeah.
path to the temple. So that was on the way to where Portia's was, right? It's kind of in between those two. So you guys for sure like pass that, and kind of as you do, you watch as there are some people who have not yet kind of like visited the interior of the temple, maybe just came upon this site and have begun to like bury some of these bodies kind of just in the mud, just where they laid. Um, with little else than like circular rocks and like single stakes driven in the mud to serve as grave markers. You walk in this road that you had just passed a day or so prior has turned into the site of a graveyard, and you also see like massive gaping holes in the ground where like uh the stone elemental like carved out with its massive arms. You see like leftover boulders that were summoned or like lifted up out from the ground and tossed aside. You see the site of the carnage. Um and but you don't see the stone elemental anymore. You do see where it landed because you can see its imprint as its corpse like boom collapsed onto the mud. You can see the imprint it left behind, but presumably it's like essence transitioned back to the plane from whence it came. And I think um, Alok, as you pass through, it would be impossible not to recognize what did this damage.
Yep.
Uh,
Probably on the way, if we see any people wandering about, I would try to direct them to the temple and tell them like what the people are doing in there to get organized for once they have a moment to make their way that way.
You get nods. Some people take a little more convincing, but I think between the four of you, you guys are all able to talk them into finally heading back to the temple. Um, you guys kind of keep setting off. You pass the shit house that was destroyed as well. You don't speak of it or look at it because um, uh, and you kind of you finally end back up on the road, kind of it's the shortest path to the crater is this this line of broken trees that have been cleared out of the way by the elemental's rampage. As you kind of like are about to take the final steps in the final leg of the journey to Portia's, is there anything anyone wants to do, any discussion, any game plans being drawn up?
I think right now Gallet's deep in thought. Like he, talks a bit and all that, but with the large grave site, little bit less talkative. He's thinking.
For sure. Absolutely. So, um, a silence falls upon the rest of the voyage to Portia's. You guys finally come upon that clearing once more, and you look and you see that the cottage has been returned to that place. You can almost see like the seams where it had been plucked from the ground and then placed right back in the exact spot where it was left. The lights are on. You smell a little bit of food cooking in there. You smell, like the scent of mint tea, and chamomile and lavender, like brewing on pots and bubbling. You hear Portia kind of humming to herself, seemingly kind of ignorant to the sheer size of the tragedy that has occurred in the last 24 hours. Um, who would like to go in first, or do you knock, or um what's the approach?
First things first, I'm gonna put my hand on the wall to make sure it's not an illusion, so I don't fall in.
It is indeed real. Yeah, you walk up to the porch. The wood feels sturdy. You stamp your boot upon it. You touch your hand to the wall, and it does not yield. It's here.
Who wants to do the honors?
I'll just walk forward and push the door open.
Oh, how
you
rude.
You push the door open, and that's kind of all you follow Suma in. You enter into the room. The cottage becomes much bigger upon the inside than it was on the outside. It's this large, perfectly circular room that's kind of like wall to wall, and like different bookcases and strange arcane equipment. There's like big things of like star charts, and there's like little odds and ends of things that are like boom, boom, puffing up sparks, and like crazy like paper like origami cranes that like fly through the air from one end of the room to the other and like become like pages of paper again and like settle into a book. There's like this thing that like keeps emitting like different colored bubbles, and every time they pop like a musical note is produced. It's like what you would imagine a place would look like if a wizard was bored there for 400 years. And there's like crazier and crazier shit that don't ostensibly seem like they're really doing anything. um and you see Portia is kind of like laid out this table. Like it's very nice. It's like a little like white doily on a little table runner. With you see there's a glass of milk for Alok. There's would you guys have wanted tea, or would some of you have preferred like ale or something?
Yeah, for
Ale,
sure.
hard, yeah, ale.
Yeah, there's definitely like the tea is you see there's like several cups of tea that are just like right lined up on her end of the table, and just like flagons of ale kind of like situated about for whoever decides to sit there. You see, she turns and like kind of like you watch this like little the place kind of being cleaned up. There's like things like stirring pots by themselves, and like things kind of like sparks going off everywhere. She goes, well, look who finally made it. You see, she goes, creaks into her chair and takes one of her cups of teas and goes, so you're finally here? You've traveled quite a long way to get here. What can I do you for now that you've arrived? Sets the teacup back down.
I have one big question to start with. Can I use your
Shoot.
restroom real quick?
Oh yeah. You see,
Okay.
she waggles a finger at a bookcase and like uh
Okay.
slides to the side to show like a little restroom appears there.
All right. I'm gonna clean up in there because I don't think I actually wiped.
Oh, post poop.
I don't think I ever had the chance.
You did not.
So I'm gonna clean up.
Yeah, I think at this point, as you walk away from like Suma, you realize that he had been casting prestidigitation on you to make you not sound like shit, just
I
like
don't have
constantly.
prestidigitation.
You see that he switched out a
That's the
cantrip
tragedy.
just for this.
You see, Portia
Yeah.
affects time and space, so you have a new cantrip
I
only for
actually
this.
did switch out for gusts, so maybe I'm just blowing the
It's a wave.
downwind
It's someone
or
else.
upwind
Yeah.
or whatever it is. I have an out of character question.
Yeah.
So, Portia, how do I word what I'm trying to ask? Does she resemble anyone I saw in the vision of Mila Blackstone?
No, she does not. She does not
Okay,
resemble Mila.
just checking.
Yeah. Um, yeah. So Gal goes to the bathroom, to the restroom to tidy up. You all, presumably take your seats. Sumo, you feel like the exhaustion kind of creak into your bones, but you kind of keep it together because kind of hide the exhaustion that has seeped into your body. She goes, well,
Ruby takes like a flagon or whatever of
yeah.
ale, just starts downing it, just like holding it up. Then she smacks it on the table, and she's like, "Ugh."
You see, she snaps her fingers, and your flagon fills back up. Yeah, you might need that.
When you were talking and saying that you don't think you would have been as much help as we might have thought, what did you mean? You getting old?
Well, part of it's that. Certainly can't fight like I used to. Uh, don't remember half the spells I used to know. My body don't work like it used to anymore. But of course, that was kind of by design. Dwarves aren't meant to live as long as I've lived. I'm near 500 years old now. You see, she goes. Actually, she'd be closer to like. I'm just about 450 years old by now. Um, you could round to 500, but she says, but that's not quite what it was. You see, I saw this fight go down before. At least I saw one way it could end. I saw what would have happened if I did intervene. And what happens if I intervene? Well, it's kind of like a butterfly effect. Are you familiar with the butterfly effect?
I don't know what I'd be.
Um, if you would like to, yeah, you can make like a history check to see if you've read that term before.
Okay, what is it? Bradbury? History
Uh,
or intelligence?
yeah, history. Yeah, history.
Okay.
On a 9, you might have remembered something about the way that like when you see a butterfly, it makes your day better. So that's the effect that it has because like they're pretty and like they affect your day better. Um, but nothing about the
Okay,
implications
so
of changing something in the past.
of course I've heard of the butterfly effect. I don't really see the. I don't see how it relates though. I haven't seen a butterfly since we're underground. Is she done, guys?
You see, she sighs, takes another sip of her tea, and she says, "There is a certain amount of responsibility that you have to adhere to when you know things." When you know more than people were probably ever supposed to know. Part of that responsibility is knowing that if you reveal something too early, if you interfere when you shouldn't, things don't go the way they're supposed to go. Sometimes when you change something, it maybe seems small or maybe even seems beneficial at the time, but if you trace the cause and effect for long enough, you'll see that one small act of kindness, or perhaps even one large one, could lead to catastrophe. Long story short, I might not seem clear in this moment, but everything you went through just now is something you had to go through. Sips her tea. once again.
Am I back from the bathroom?
For sure.
Okay.
As she's saying that.
Yeah, thanks for letting me use the restroom. Alright. We got lots of questions. And,
Yep.
yeah, so let's see what we got. First, just generally, you seem like the matter of fact person. It seems to come up a lot. So can you just like very easily explain to me the entirety of how fate works? Just in one.
Sure. Fate is an interesting concept. But it's not what people think it is. Let me put it to you this way. Fate is the will of the most powerful forces in the universe.
Like gods?
Sure, yeah. We call them gods, goddesses. In the ancient times, they just called them primal forces, or they just referred to them by what they actually are, just life and death. The gods have a plan, and because the gods have unlimited power, they can make that plan come true through various means, and there's often not too much we small mortals can do about it. Fate, essentially, only comes as a concept once people begin to be able to read it. Glimpses of the future, glimpses of conclusions and situations that the gods decided had to be that way, and so nudged mortals, or perhaps forced them to make it so. It is essentially just the will of beings whose power we cannot approach, and thus are wholly beholden to. At least that's the working theory.
Oh, okay. I mean, then that means that they're just powerful people wanting to do certain things. And definitely doesn't always work out for them. I mean, what's give me a second. What's the god of death?
Xandus.
Xandus. I mean, he really tried to kill a lot of people before. That really seemed like he wanted to, but didn't work.
Yeah,
So
and in a similar fashion, what stopped him from doing that? It was the work of another high power.
uh,
Fate is really only a concept that it applies to mortals.
can mortals do anything then?
There are some of us that do have the ability, though it is often difficult to see at first. To be honest, much of it comes from a connection with the divine. When mortals started seeing visions, I mean, almost every single one of us who can see the future, who can read what happens next in the script, are able to do so due to the influence of the divine, the influence of beings higher than us. Once we started reading this script, we started getting this notion of fate as a hand that is pushing us in certain directions. But that's not exactly how fate works. I presume by now, one or some of you have met Yeska already. Is that correct?
Notes.
Glances at Ruby under eyelashes.
Yeah.
Sense.
Her idea of fate is pretty interesting, and I don't know how. Hmm. I don't know how much I personally believe in it. I think we all have a different relationship to the concept, but she believes, and she see a little bit of like white flame appears on the tip of her finger. And you watch her, she draws very deliberately a circle in the air. She says, she believes that fate moves in a circle. She called it, back in the day, she called it ring theory. That every single event that has ever happened has already happened and will continue to happen over and over again until time itself ceases to exist. And that when people receive visions of the future, I mean, they may as well have been receiving visions of the past. And the reason why fate is set in stone is because it already happened, and it just hasn't happened to us yet.
That, that doesn't make sense in the aspect of I thought you saw multiple versions of things. If it was truly cyclical, wouldn't it always stay the same?
Right.
theory.
When we went to that one room, there was like 2 clocks, right? On
What
that.
one room? She doesn't know about that, so yeah, you're not to elaborate.
Well, we found kind of the headquarters, we think, for the ring, and for these 2 clocks, basically. And we tried putting the black stones on it to see what happened, and basically we all kind of had different experiences. Some of us had visions of the future, some of us of the past.
You see, she grimaces hard at that, and she goes, "Those damn Blackstones." Shakes her head. And she says, "Yeah, ever since people started feeling like their lives weren't in control, they've been dreaming up different ways of fighting against the strings that control them. Those black stones were Yeska's manner of doing so. I tried to tell her on multiple occasions why it wouldn't work, but it didn't really. I wasn't able to get through to her. Is what I guess what I mean to say.
Wait, so what is their purpose? Just to block fate, or?
The idea behind them is that if you strip away the essence of who somebody is, their identity, their memories, their personality, that they will be incapable of playing the same role as they would have. A lot of people think, well, why can't you just kill somebody, right? And in theory, that would work, but the gods account for everything, and so oftentimes when you kill somebody who's supposed to play some part in a prophecy or whatever, the duty just shifts to somebody else who ends up doing it anyway. The reason for the black shards and why Yeska believed in them so much is that that shard was crafted by Peleia herself, was crafted by a god. And so she was able to change destiny in a real, tangible way. I am sure that there was some iteration of this where none of that ever happened until the god decided, those of us with free will, the gods, decided to grant that ability to that young lady all the way 1,000 years ago, however fucking long it was. They have the ability. I'm gonna. This is literally just Harry Potter. Let me just.
Yeah.
Oh, it's more John Williams. Is this playlist? Okay.
Oh, Hydra wasn't playing for me. Oh.
Yeah, I can't really hear it that well. I think I need to adjust the.
Yeah, I can change it on my end at least.
You see, she says, the problem with Yeska's inventions, which I told her 1,000 times, is that we, as mere mortals, are never going to be able to make an exact replica of what the gods are able to accomplish, unless they empower us to do so directly. So whatever she did, they may have a similar effect, but it's not gonna be perfect. The end result will still be the same one way or another. The gods will guarantee that. That doesn't mean that fate can't be changed, it just means that the ways of doing it are severely limited.
What, so we gotta beg to a god to help us? Is that the only way?
Some people think so. But there is one particular way that, well, let's just say it has been has been a well-kept secret for a while. And it has a lot to do with that. And you see she points at your amulet, Alok. Every time that thing is used, fate changes just a little bit. Starts creating branches. It doesn't mean that the branches aren't going to lead to the same outcome, but it means that the outcome isn't 100% guaranteed.
Is that a good thing? Or is it could be either way?
Ants, right? That's kind of the unfortunate thing about fate is that at least when things aren't up to you, you don't really have to worry about what's good or not. When suddenly you start feeling as if things are in your hands, your decisions start to matter a lot more. They become a bit scarier. And then what you end up doing weighs a lot heavier. In a way, nah, never mind.
What?
You just see she just trails off. She appeared to be about to say comment further and then just trails off.
All right, that's dandy. All right.
You look upset. Why does that upset you?
It's just annoying that, like, what? We're screwed because we're mortal? Gotta always rely on others?
Yeah, that's kind of the bitch of it, ain't it?
What makes God so great, anyways? All respects to Ruby and Alok.
Yeah, like that looks like.
The way I see it, they just got here first. And they got to make the rules. But I would not balk at what mortals are able to accomplish. More than one god has suffered at the hands of mortals. You see,
So
she
how
looks
is
at
that?
she looks at you for a little longer than maybe she should have, Gallant. Go ahead, Ruby.
How is that possible? If you're saying gods have all the power, then how can a human hurt or interrupt a god's plans?
Well, if the god gets arrogant, if the god gets cocky, or perhaps if the god just loves chaos and sowing seeds, they get to make the choices, and if we're able to take advantage of that, it happens. It just has to happen when people aren't looking. But that's ancient history.
I mean,
Yeah.
the Red Wraith is technically not a god. Sorry, you can go.
But he does have the power of, or partial power of one. Isn't that right? Because of the eyes?
More than one, actually.
Oh crap, yeah. So it seems... Oh. So he can change fate. Because he has something godlike. Correct?
That's correct.
And being able to change fate means that. So these orbs you make,
Mm.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. Yeah.
you're able to create the power of a god? Or is there a god in here?
No, the orbs just don't really change anything.
They don't change anything. I beg to
No.
defer.
Not directly. Watch. You see, she takes a piece of paper and she writes a word on it. You watch her write with a quill onto it. Then she burns the paper in a puff of flame. Does it matter what word was on that paper before I burned it?
I mean, if it was something rude, then maybe.
If I went back and changed that word, would it matter?
Not for this conversation, I guess.
It burns either way. From the perspective of the universe, the way the story ends is Ela gets destroyed and everybody on it dies. It doesn't matter when they do it. It's a big graveyard waiting to be filled. No one cares what order the graves get put in. So whether you die now, you die later, you died back then, you die tomorrow, it won't matter. In theory.
But then,
That, of course, is what I'm attempting to prevent, but...
okay, so when you die does not matter.
Mhm.
But Alok's amulet changes that because he brings them back.
Exactly.
But
Then how does it change fate if it doesn't matter?
You have to think about what power is behind the amulet.
Right.
so would Ruby when she if she does that, does it not mean the same thing as Alok doing it?
Not quite. Of
So
all the
does
gods that
does
have
bringing no,
of
go
all the
on.
gods that have a role in what's going to happen, there are three that I would say matter the most. There's Celestia, the goddess of life, Xandis, the god of death, and Terminus, the god of balance. The game between life and death, the discussion between them, was settled a long time ago. When it was settled, it was decided that Ela was to be destroyed. Terminus makes sure that that balance and that decision is upheld, but perhaps he can be persuaded by one force or another to tip things in one direction or another. And it's really only with his blessing, or at least one of the reasons, through his blessing, he's able to bring back people and free them from fate. Spells like Revivify, those are sanctioned. Those are accounted for in the grand calculus of the universe. Diamonds burn up, power is lost. The act of a cleric channeling a god is not the same as a god doing it themselves. That amulet was created for the express purpose of changing fate, or at least presenting the user with the opportunity to do so.
No. Alok, why would he want to do that? Because from what from what it sounds like, he's about balance. Everything seemed on the up and up before with the contract with Xandis. And he now has an amulet that screws up the fate thing. Wouldn't is there supposed to be uncertainty in fate to a degree to be balanced? What's up with that?
I'm not sure. Can I do like a religion check, see if anything like lines up with that?
Or
Yeah.
It's
'Cause he has a good point.
how balanced is this guy? Because even from what you've said, Portia, it's if he can be talked to about this, that means he can favor a side. That's not balanced.
gods are all powerful, but they're not infallible. I would
Ah,
imagine if Terminus is cheating for one side or the other, or even just dipping a toe in, it is likely that he was influenced by one side or another to make things different. And just so you know, making things different doesn't mean making it better for us. Changing fate doesn't mean you change it for the better from anyone's perspective. And you have to consider that because of the way he's doing it, it's not actually him doing the changing. The decision is in the hands of a mortal. And after that, whoever comes back, whoever is touched by the power, they get to make their own choices too. Perhaps it's less of an interfering and more of letting the system balance itself, as opposed to balance being imposed.
okay.
Alok, I think what rings the most true to you of what she said is that it would make sense for him to not do it directly. And
Mhm.
in fact, if someone was going to be given the power to give a nudge here and there, that um, it would be against his entire ethos to have any contact with that person whatsoever.
Makes sense.
This kind of
So,
reminds me of what's that economic policy again?
The invisible hand?
Yeah. You know what I'm talking about.
so if we want help from a god, all we have to do is pay them off. Is that right?
Elaborate on that.
How did you get
Well,
that?
because
Elaborate on
someone,
that.
I mean, it was a simplification, but because someone somehow got favor from Terminus to help out or something. How do
Well, I
we
don't
gain
think it
this
was.
favor?
I doubt that it was a mortal who did it. If I had to wager, it was Celestia herself.
Well, I mean, we could still attempt it
Sure, I
with any
guess.
god, I suppose.
I mean, good luck with that.
Yeah, but I
The
mean,
the younger gods I hear are much easier to kind of persuade or at least interact with. There are no clerics of Celestia. There are no paladins of Xanbis or of Terminus. They don't take followers. They don't grant their worshippers power. They sit high above as essentially ultimate forces in the universe, and they don't really deal with mortals too much directly. However, the younger guys certainly do, and they have the ability to pull some stuff off too, just not quite on the scale as the other two. Three, I mean. You've been quiet, she says to Suma.
You noticed.
Hard not to. You're angry.
You could say that. I'm learning a lot. And biting my tongue.
Perhaps. That's wise. She sighs and she says, listen, it's a lot of responsibility. And there's no guarantee that anything you do really unshackles fate to any degree that will ever end up mattering at all. But there's a chance. I'm willing to invest in it. Yeah. But it's a heavy responsibility. One that all of you have, in my opinion.
May I change the subject for a moment?
Certainly.
All of this fate and destiny shit
Yeah,
can fuck off. For all I care.
fair enough.
He pulls out the 3 shards that he has and lays them on the table. I don't have the mind to debate the fate of Ela at the moment, so I'm just going to ask this. What can you tell us about these, besides what we already know?
She looks at you gravely, measures her words, and she says, the thing that would probably be the one thing you're most curious about is that its effects can be reversed.
Is it too much to hope you know how?
In fact, I do. Would you like me to give you that power?
Perhaps I should know more about that first. What would it entail?
It would entail having to physically deliver the shard to whomever it previously belonged to. And once there, engaging in a ritual. It will not bring harm to either caster or castee, and it will reverse the effects of the shard in full. Which means that whoever it might be would have their identity returned to them, their memories, their soul, and all of the associated benefits and downfalls. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I believe so. Something that was posited to me by I don't know if I could call her a friend exactly, but someone I know, is that something about these has to do with blood or lineage. I'm not sure. They were immovable by anyone other than family until the first time that they were picked up. And I don't understand how that relates to the effects.
It's not blood, per se, although the blood often factors into it. I think you'd find that likely any sort of loved one that loved whoever it was very dearly and is affected by them significantly, would be able to lift it. It has more to do with transference. These shards leave a hole in the plan, and fate does its best to address that. So, it makes it such that only the people who are most likely to set those plans back in motion are able to interfere with them. Have you noticed that you never at any point had these shards leave your possession for as long as you had them? You have them because you are the one person on the face of this planet who has the motivation, and now, if you give me the say so, the means to undo what happened to your daughter. If you do that, everything comes back. The memories, the personality, and the great big doomed destiny. Even knowing that, I can tell that you're likely tempted. But it also goes to show that if you don't do it, I doubt that anybody else could or would. You'd go to the ends of the earth for your daughter. You already have. So the shard decided that you were the one fit to bear it. So you could put things back in their proper place.
Well, I make no promises about that, but I can't deny that. I need to do this.
I know. Nobody blames you, honey.
What do I do?
You see, she says, it'll actually be very simple. May I? And she reaches her hands out to the shard.
He definitely hesitates before handing it over, but does so.
You see, she takes it gingerly, and kind of all like the old lady clumsiness and kind of like lagginess to her movements completely disappears in a very fluid motion. She scoops up the shard, and as she like traces with her hand like a circle of runes above it, it like lifts up from her palm and like begins like spinning. Um, you see it begins. It's first it starts spinning clockwise, and then it stops and it begins spinning counterclockwise, as if reversing something. And kind of like you guys watch as like a very powerful like magical force like boom, boom emanates through the room, and you watch as the black shard becomes crisscrossed with these like white runes and incantations kind of like inscribed upon the surface, kind of going around it and in and around it, and as it spins. And Ruby, I think as you sit there, you like feel some of Suli's like memories like stir up in you as like a similar magic is being kind of performed here, like invoking the shard, and kind of as like the lights and the fanfare and these beams kind of die down from it, it settles back down into her palm, and it's still black, but you can see something like uh, some energy moving around within it, like writhing and contorting and twirling and spinning. Some kind of essence trapped within it is now visible, with these like runes that glow upon it at intervals. And she hands it back to you, exhausted. She looks like fucking beat after doing that. And she says, "These things are a marvel of magic. I hope you don't beat yourself up about not being able to figure out how to do that, because the only reason I know is because I helped her make them."
I was going to ask you about a second one, but that looks like it just about did you in.
Yeah. If you leave it with me, I can do it and maybe send it to you. It's not the hardest thing to do, magically speaking. Jeez. She leans back and she says, "Bring that to your daughter. Speak her true name, and your hands will guide you for the rest of it. Do it. The shard will shatter, and your girl will be your girl again, for better or for worse."
Thank you. I think.
So, will she remember everything that she did while she didn't have her memories?
I think so. Yeah. Of course, it's never really been done before. Um, so I don't actually know exactly how it's gonna go. There will likely be some kind of interim process where she has to, remember all the things she did previously and kind of get to grips with who she is once again, but I imagine that would be temporary. Although I cannot account for any pain she might have in the conflict between those two identities coming to be one.
Hey Liz, I wasn't here because I went to the restroom. Did you ask where your
Yes.
daughter
no,
was?
I have not yet. No. I asked her one question so far, and then all of this happened.
Alright, alright, sorry, that seemed. Okay.
No, no. We haven't gotten there yet. But I suppose now would be a good time. So yeah, I guess after putting it away, he turns back to Portia and says, "Everything so far that I have found has led me to believe that she is in Bar Vault, perhaps with the remainder of the ring, but something about that causes me to hesitate, and I'm not sure why. Is there anything?"
Maybe it's parental instinct.
Maybe. It's just,
Or maybe, sometimes, subliminal knowledge seeps in and influences how you think without even knowing why it's influencing how you think. For example, I have it on good authority that the place where she used to keep, or at least kept the first of the people she used these on, she's referring to Aliceris, of course, was broken into. So I imagine if someone was stolen from her once, then she would keep a much tighter watch on the next person she took.
I don't suppose you know anything about where your good old friend Yeska might be?
Well, she's got a lot of contacts pretty much everywhere. Did head a crime organization spanning the entirety of the islands for quite a long time. I'd imagine that she is wherever she wants to be. And I'll give you, in my uh, professional opinion, two hypotheses. One, that girl is locked down somewhere in a place untouchable by divination, untouchable by any types of magic that would seek to determine her location. Or two, she is actively traveling with her and keeping an eye on her at all times. If Yeska were to make a safe house, not even I could find it. But if she were bringing the girl around places, it's likely that you might be able to find her. Yeah.
Right, yeah. Um, quick question. So
Yeah.
she can see the future like you can, maybe slightly better?
Yeska's a special case.
She got dumped in
She's
water.
some. That's not how she phrased it, probably. But that's pretty much what happened,
Yeah,
right?
right. Is
It's more that she saw the entirety of the future once,
just once?
perhaps. If you subscribe to her way of thinking, she's seen it countless times, over and over again.
But it's the same thing for her.
Maybe.
Is is there any way to hide yourself from specifically fate? In a way? Like you can still be a part of it, but can you be a part no one can see?
That's an interesting question, because that's actually why I'm here.
Huh.
The Dead Water. It has a lot of interesting magical effects, and it drew me here for a lot of reasons. Once upon a time, old Yeski walked up to me and she said, "There's a point in the future, far from now, where I stop seeing you, but I know you're not dead. I don't know why." And, of course, I thought that was bullshit, but when it finally came to pass that I did realize I didn't want to be found by her, I was drawn here. The dead water dampens a lot of things. Powers that usually have access to things don't have it here. It is said that this place was cursed by the god of death himself. It is said that it is Pelea's tears pooling in a single lake. I mean, a lot of people got a lot of theories, right? But the point is, for some reason, being here and the most cursed place to live, probably of all time, makes it so that people can't find you even when they really want to. People who are relying on certain methods can't reach you.
That's good.
Of course, Yeska wouldn't come here either, so.
Eh,
I mean, she knew I was
She,
here, she just can't see me.
makes sense. Is do you think everyone at the table really? Do you think that's why the Pale King was here? Specific because
The
like
Pale King wanted you. Why?
That's right.
yeah.
Who is he?
Well, it's kind of complicated. You know when someone like has a thing for you and then you kind of like turn them down but you just weren't firm enough about it and so they kind of get this idea that like they kind of just got to try hard enough and maybe they'll win you back the next time?
No.
Was he a squid the first time?
Oh yeah, he was a squid the entire time, but back when I was a young lady, we were adventuring down here in the Underdark and happened to encounter him. He decided he was enamored by me due to my great intelligence and so wanted to eat my brain to get all of that. As you can imagine, that was against my best interest, and so we ended up killing him 400 years ago.
And he came back.
He was brought back.
By the Red Ray, but how?
Yeah, well, suppose it is probably time we get to that topic of conversation, ain't it? Okay, let's see if I can make this as concise as I possibly can. I'm gearing up for this one because this is gonna have to be a fucking monologue, and I know it. Um,
Whew.
hold on.
I've leveled up for this.
God damn it! This is like my actual nightmare. This entire session is my nightmare.
It's not the shopping episode, it's the historical episode.
Yeah, yeah. You see, she says, the Red Wraith had a name back before he was the Red Wraith. His name was Zariel. He was, perhaps, to this day, the greatest windseer the world had ever known. There were those that came before him, those that came after him, but he saw things, heard things in the wind that nobody else could, from far further in the future than anybody else could. Back in the day, a couple of us who happened to have hobbies in predicting the future and looking into fate and all that bullshit stumbled upon a very powerful impending doom. All of a sudden, we had clear visions of the future, but past a certain point, it was black. It was nothingness. As if all of time cut out at a specific point, and there was nothing afterwards but credits. So we gathered at the Tailwind Tavern up by Nazari. Oh, it wasn't called that back then, but anyway. We gathered there as sort of, colleagues to discuss what this threat could be, and in the middle of it, Zariel gave a prophecy. In that prophecy, it was said that there was to be a calamity that would destroy the world, yada yada yada, and all of us, being young and heroic and honestly a little arrogant, decided we were going to be the ones to stop the whole thing from happening. In doing so, we did a lot of stuff. We took a tour of all the islands. It's weird, we kind of went counterclockwise, starting from Gallon. Uh, it's weird, we didn't try to do it, it just kind of worked out that way. And killed dragons. We fought a lich at one point. It was like crazy.
Whoa, that's a big news.
Yeah. I mean, we were a good team, but also we were pretty stacked. It's funny, if I had to handpick a team to stop the end of the world, I don't think I could have done any better than the folks we had back then. And yet, with 3 people who could see the future, we failed so absolutely spectacularly that to this day, we're still fucked.
Who was the third person?
There was a, Yeska.
Ah,
You see, she goes, all the things we were doing, all the clues we were chasing, all the lore we were learning about the past and the world and why this might be happening, it helped us understand the situation in pieces, but it didn't really tell us how to solve it, so we all separated for a bit in order to each seek out ways to become stronger before the end came for us, so we could maybe put up a fight. Along the way, Zariel stumbled upon that, and she points at your ring, Gallet. It was supposed to be lost to time, unfindable by mortals. But when you have someone who can see things that people can't, who can feel things that people can't, he used his powers of prophecy to guide himself to the location of the ring, and he found it. I don't know what all of his wishes were. To this day, I've been wondering about them, but the exact nature of them, hard to say. If anything, I'd say you, Gallet, are probably the only person with a decent chance of figuring it out.
Quick question, Shino, before we continue.
Yes.
I remember the one with the unbreakable ship, or like unsinkable ship that
Yes.
stabbed him through the heart, and the other one was an undying crew, but like they attacked him. Why did they attack him again?
You don't know why they attacked him.
Okay.
Yeah, so you know, do you mention that to her?
I'm working on it. Like, is the most I'd say. I'm working on it.
Okay. As far as I know, for some reason, Zariel was able to resurrect people who he had close bonds with, acquaintanceship with, people he shared significant memories with. Friends of ours that had come and gone, powerful ones. They joined his army. Monsters that he'd slain. People he'd befriended, enemies he'd befriended. It's funny, we used to have this running joke amongst our team that we all tried to see if we could kill the bad guy before Zariel was able to give him the "Hey, want to be part of the crew?" speech, which was harder to do than you would imagine. And something about him, people just agreed. Their dying breaths, they agreed. Minds were changed. Attitudes were shifted. Something about who he was made it so that even in death, people would follow him. I'd imagine it has something to do with the properties of that ring, but fuck if I know exactly what it is. What it was, I mean. Eventually, through means that I personally don't understand, he was able to leverage his control over that ring into power, unlike anything we'd ever seen before. Perhaps it's what potentially awaits you down the line, Mr. Abate.
Let's see. But, I gotta say, I don't think my wishes really got me too powerful. But I probably worded them wrong.
Well, you're here, aren't you?
Yep, just me.
For a man who uses wishes on jack shit, you've made it a long way.
Yeah. But just me. But I had other questions I'd like to ask you anyways, like this.
Yeah.
Like, got something over here, like, you know those mind insects that the Pale King had? Is that still going on? Because, like, he didn't fully control them. They were sort of different. Should we be worried about that? Like the
Yeah, I
toads
mean,
had
I
those.
think I think they die off after a while if they don't have like new brains to eat.
Oh, okay.
Um,
So we should still warn people about them then. That seems like a
yeah.
infestation issue. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. People at Khalsan are pretty hardy people.
Yeah,
I think, they're capable fighters. They can kill an intellect devourer,
yeah.
probably. At least if they weren't taken completely unawares.
Yeah, I bet y'all still have like a few questions for her, right, guys? Like Alok, you haven't said anything. You're probably pretty big on this.
Well,
You're
I kind
probably
of asked the question
you're
earlier.
probably pretty big. Like you probably got like a few in the bank.
I suppose the only thing that comes to mind is what what could I do to avoid the mistakes that the past wearer of my amulet made? How can I do better?
You know, if anything, it was probably more our mistakes as a group that let her down than the other way around. Her great failing, if you could even call it that, was loving everybody unconditionally. It was her love that led to her death. After watching so many people die after using that amulet, the last time she ever used it was to bring somebody back at the cost of hers. She chose to stop having her friends die for the sake of her other friends. She stopped being okay with family members and acquaintances and innocents being slaughtered in the name of the cause that she gave herself up. And from one perspective, you could say she doomed us all. From another, you could say perhaps she saved us.
Who was the final person that she brought back?
The man you now know is the Red Wraith.
Oh,
She doomed us. She definitely doomed us.
Well, how did he become the Red Braid? Did we
wait.
mention that? Did we talk about that?
Right, so that's a whole fucking story. Okay.
Okay.
I fucking sit back in my goddamn chair.
You try to avoid it, huh?
I was just waiting. I was trying to have it seem like have it come across. This was a very organic way to do it, so I'm glad that it kind of came about this way.
Mhm.
Um, the way I see it, well, this is the easiest way for me to explain the story. I don't have all of it, to be honest. When I was a young woman, I was kind of a bitch, and I didn't really listen to what everyone was saying all the time, because I knew better than people. And to be honest, I still do. It's just I feel a little worse about it. Back in the day, we were all very passionate about saving the world and averting the prophecy. Zariel, most of all, he was extremely dedicated to this cause. He grew manic after a point because no matter what we did, no matter what we tried to do, we couldn't change fate. People died, people close to us. We killed people, we sacrificed people, and in the end, no matter how far we looked into the future, it was still death for everybody. He grew frustrated with not being able to fight fate. He grew frustrated about not being able to destroy destiny. And he. I don't know exactly what it is that drove him mad, but I do know that Yeska has something to do with it.
Yeska's. We gotta talk to her. I think she's really she's pushing it. She's pushing it. You know,
We. Yeah, she's kind of a. Well, she is who she is. She kind of like changes the topic really quickly. She says, we were all on the ship. We had just got done fighting a big ass sea monster. It was fucking cool. Um, yeah.
name of the ship?
The name of the ship? The Prophecy.
But you want to destroy it or stop it.
Yeah, we thought it was like fun to be ironic in that way.
Oh, okay. That just seems like bad brand awareness.
Yeah, it was like a whole thing. I wanted to call it the self-fulfilling because I thought that was funnier.
Oh,
Nobody
okay.
voted-
I like that. That's
But nobody voted for it. It was bullshit.
yeah.
Anyway, we
It
were
actually
on
is
deck.
sadder in retrospect, but go on.
um, we had just gotten through this brutal fight. We had crew members die. He was upset, throwing a fit about it, feeling like he wanted to quit. And then Yeska took him aside somewhere in the decks. I don't know what she said to him, but an hour later, the ship got ripped apart. He summoned the wind in a sense of fury, or perhaps madness, summoned a hurricane, and nearly drowned all of us. Of course, we were, you know, pretty powerful magic users and whatnot at the time. Nazir can fly, all that bullshit. So can I. It's actually pretty easy. You get that spell really early on as a wizard, to be honest. It's kind of wild. She says, and we all disavowed him. We said, we're not going to be part of your crew anymore if you keep acting like this, and we walked away. Actually, Nazir wasn't there. I'm getting my fucking story mixed up. Nazir wasn't there anymore. He actually got sent back a while ago. Anyway, she says, after that, he decided to pursue different things, increasingly more dangerous methods of potentially changing fate. He decided that if the gods were the only people who were able to have a say in what happens, then he was just going to have to become one. So, he gathered up artifacts and items that he thought would grant him the power to become a god. The Eye of Priscilla, for one. And of course, the Ring of Calypso.
How'd he lose it?
How did he lose what?
The ring.
When he was destroyed.
But that didn't take.
No, it did not. To this day, I don't know what happened. I died halfway through that fight. I didn't make it to the end. I was just revived a little bit later. I didn't see the end.
Who did?
Guess.
Yeska.
That's right. I don't know who dealt the finishing blow, or even how the finishing blow was done. All I know is that of us that remained, only Yeska and Nazir were around to see what happened at the very, very end. They know the truth. But I have some ideas. Nazir, yeah, go for it.
Oh, sorry. It's you can see the future. Wouldn't it be extremely easy for you to see the past?
You'd think so, but it actually don't work like that. Yes, it can see the past. Or at
Oh.
least she claimed to have seen the past. Or she claims that the future is the past. Which, I still don't really know if I believe in all that, but,
I mean, if it is a ring, technically the future would be the past, but... Still doesn't... Because, like, if it was a ring, then it doesn't even matter what she does. But maybe that's why she's trying to change? But even if she tried to change it like that, it'd still be a ring. Ah.
yeah. We had this exact same argument like 1,000 times. On
Okay,
shit.
yeah.
I told her that if This was when she was still in the early stages of conceptualizing those shards. I told her if the gods wanted something to happen, they'd make it happen. I doubt they'd let some, you know, manufactured fucking stone change things to that extent. They work to an extent, but I imagine that the gods would have some kind of failsafe. They'd do something to ensure that what needs to happen happens. Anyway, I'm no good at telling stories, personally, but what ended up happening to Zeriel, um, let me make sure I have this correct. Yes. Okay, I really have to look at my notes. Um, okay. Okay. I'm going to just give you this information, okay?
Okay.
Um, essentially, um, the wishes that he made upon that ring made it so that he would be a suitable candidate to receive the power that was locked away inside the Eye of the Storm, the Eye of Priscilla. When he used it upon himself, it is presumed that his body couldn't take it. It was the power of a goddess being put inside of him. His form was not meant to contain it, and so it ripped him apart. However, perhaps as a result of whatever wish he made, he didn't die. He lived on. For whatever reason, I don't understand, but he lived. Just without a body, his soul became melted into the mists that were forming when he invoked the power of the eye. Perhaps, in conjunction with all those things, whatever Yeska told him, whatever pain comes with trying to ascend to godhood in a body unfit for it, he went insane. Or perhaps just created a storm on accident. We don't really know. If anyone should be asked, you should probably ask Calypso. She was there. Although, the way I understand her personality, I doubt it would be, I believe it would probably cost you something to learn a little bit more about what happened.
Oh, we got it. Yep, we're tight. Me and Calypso.
Your ring fucking tightens around you. Fucking seawater. You choke a little bit on seawater and it bubbles out of your
This
mouth.
is a good ale. This is a good one. This is a good ale.
Right, yeah. Of course.
Neat story. That's most of my questions answered. Well,
What's important to note is this. When the Red Wraith came the first time, he was attempting to stop the end of the world and ended up becoming it. He couldn't contain the power that was granted to him by two extremely powerful artifacts, and it created a storm big enough to destroy everything. This time around, it seems he has purpose, intelligence, intentionality. Why that is probably one of the most important things to figure out.
I agreed.
Glad to hear it.
I am contractually obligated to ask one more question,
Yeah.
which seems more complicated now than it would have at the start of the conversation, but Yeska is clearly some kind of problem that needs to be dealt with. Gods know how. Any advice on finding or confronting her.
Yeska believes that she knows everything that has ever happened and ever will happen. She believes that she's never wrong. She believes that nothing she does could ever go wrong. And if it does go wrong, it's actually just doing that so that you can go even more right later on in the future. I would say that the easiest way to beat her is to take advantage of the fact that she thinks everything is going her way all the time. Finding her is a different story. I would imagine the people most likely to have any leads on her were people within her organization. I didn't really have much to do with all that. We parted ways after the storm.
And maybe I'm just confused, but are she and the current matron of Yasar sisters? Am I imagining that?
They're certainly related. I believe she's her aunt.
Interesting. That lady is a
Is
whole different story.
that correct? Is that correct? I believe so. Yeah, because I don't think the current matron is actually that old enough to be.
She isn't. But, there could have been bullshittery.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I had to like work out this math and be like, yeah, she's not old enough. Yeah.
Hey, Portia.
Yeah.
What do you have any idea of what's going on with the claw, or a certain individual called Madeline?
Madeline.
She seems to be quite powerful, and had the other eye.
She had an eye of the storm?
Yeah.
That's incredibly unlikely.
But wait, am I wrong? She had an eye.
No.
Okay.
She did.
Okay.
See, she says that's nearly impossible. The eyes are very, very perfectly hidden. They're enchanted. The places where they rest are actually impossible to find unless you are in the presence of a true cleric of Priscilla.
I repeat.
This tracks, by the way. If you remember the
Looks
wife
pointedly
of
at
Duke
Ruby.
Talon.
It's let's just say that happened. Why would the claw really be interested in that?
Well, if I had to guess. Remember when I said that the gods would find a way to even the odds if you tried to fuck with fate?
Nah.
Well, Xandis believes that Ela should be destroyed. The people of Ela try to prevent it. It wouldn't be too far-fetched for me to imagine that perhaps a follower of Xandis, an agent of his, could be sent in order to make sure that destruction happens regardless of the efforts of us truly.
Well, no matter what, Xandis is probably going to be a bit happy. If just a little bit. Because I'm not imagining it's going to be totally clean no matter what happens. If today had anything to show.
That was the other reason why I needed you all to do this without my assistance. The road ahead of you, if you are truly going to attempt to stop this prophecy and to fight fate, is going to be littered with bodies. And you better start getting used to seeing them if you want to keep walking this hero's path. Of course, if you don't, you can just kick your feet up, sip some tea, and wait for the end of the world like the rest of us.
Not my style.
Didn't think it would be. But it is an option.
I mean, that's, yeah.
She looks at you, Alok, and she says, you always have the choice to give that up, you know?
I know. I've been told.
Not that it's any consolation, likely, but I wouldn't blame you personally.
I don't think I'd feel right if I did. I feel like that's not fair.
Fair to who?
Whoever takes up the responsibility next, I'm sure it's not going to disappear. As you said, the gods make fate happen.
What if they want the responsibility?
Then that's even more scary.
Maybe indeed. You see, she leans back and she says, if I were you and I wanted to find Yeska, I would start by heading to Bar Vault, cleaning out what's left of her organization, or at least questioning people, finding out what's happening. They're the people who are most likely to have leads on what's going on with her and what's happening. Any previous plans that the ring had is probably a good place to start to see if you can find any other members. Beyond that, if you're really interested in thwarting this prophecy, following that, I would imagine learning more about the Red Wraith, what his wishes were, and why he's motivated now would likely be another step. Hard to say where to begin with something like that, but if I were you, I'd start by asking Calypso there. Or maybe just doing whatever it is she tells you to do so she'll give you the answer.
You know, I'm gonna shut up before I say anything.
Alright. Anything else?
So you mentioned that she couldn't find you because of Deadwater Lake, right?
Yeah. It's like real
Would
fucked
it
up in
help?
here.
Would it help if we carried some of the water from Deadwater Lake so that would that allow us to remain undetected by her, or would we need like a huge quantity of that water for it to work?
It might dampen her abilities. It's hard to say because everything she saw a long time ago. She's just kind of pulling back through those visions she saw. So it's possible that she already sees what's ahead of you as a blank screen because of the dead wire. I can't say for sure whether it would work. It works here because here it turns into vapor. It's vaporized. I breathe it in every single day. Is it killing me? Yeah, but it's been my time to go for a very long time now, and the dead war is at least letting me age finally. Keeping a bottle on you might be extremely smart. I could save you the trip and try to do that.
Love that.
Yeah, you could get some more exposure, more aging. Instead of
Yeah.
anti-aging, it's aging products.
Yeah,
You know, for elves, maybe they'd want that. I mean, that's
There's
gotta have
probably
a market. Yeah.
Did you
That's-
know
yeah.
that this is one of the few places on the face of the planet where elves can die of old age?
Hmm.
You hear that, Suma? You're aging.
Don't stay here too long.
Yeah, I do think I see a wrinkle right there.
I do see some age. You know what? Your age is
Don't let
starting to
Zisha say that.
show.
I think I think that's just stress that's causing that wrinkle, okay?
Minor illusion wrinkles on Caesar's face.
Oh, there's something wrong. And is there anywhere we could go for any more information on Deadwater? It's pretty interesting properties. I mean, it sounds like it has the same kind of way of dealing with the future. Like, if you could see the future and it's just nothing, what if the place was flooded with dead water?
Well, people would die.
Well, yeah,
Um, yeah. So in a way, there would be no more future for them. So that's
but the people from like, yeah, that wouldn't work.
it nullifies a lot of things. Its uh, full extents and limits has yet to be fully determined, but I can give you a contact. You see, she scribbles down on a piece of paper. I had to pull through my notes for this one. Sorry, this one's a deep cut. Didn't think I had to pull this one out. Alright, so, took me a while to remember, but if you go to Castelmond over at Ravenhall Academy, and look for a Professor Vienna Willow, um, she'd probably be able to assess this much better than I could. One of the side effects of the fucking vapor is that my brain doesn't really work as well as it used to. Also, I kind of just like chilling out here. You know what I mean? Like,
You
a
work
lot
a
of people.
lot.
I did. I did my part. I prevented the ending of the world once. Sure, it's it might end again, but it does that. It's what it wants to do. You know what I mean? At a certain point, can it be helped?
Yeah.
I guess we'll see. Thing is, sometimes, and here's my thing about liches, right? Immortality is severely overrated. I don't understand why anybody wants that deal. It's fucking boring. It's really boring, which is why I have hobbies now. She goes, I took up knitting and like a bunch of like sweaters, like kind of like float up from like downstairs. She's like, I'm getting pretty good at it. I brew my own tea leaves. You have no idea how much magic it takes to actually create a hospitable environment for like regular plants and shit. Um, uh, 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 and yeah,
Yeah. You have worked a lot, really hard, and I really respect that. But can you work a little bit harder and help us with one thing? Because it just came to mind, and you're the only person I can think that can do it. Can
Oh,
you
if
please just can you take a quick look at Lagan? Take a quick look see there. Are you able to do that magically?
sure, yeah. You see, she waves her hand, and everything on top of the table disappears, like a giant crystal ball like materializes upon it. You see she mutters like an incantation, places her hands over, and like the mist swirling, the white mist inside of the crystal ball kind of clears up, and you see as it peers into like as you peer into the ball, the image crystallizes, and you see vast ocean, wreckage, debris, bodies floating, and the corpses of impaled skeletons still like pinned against certain like big hunks sections of wall that were torn apart. She goes, strange.
I bring out from my bag my little forgot but magic bag. Bring out a piece of wood from Lagan. Yeah, I just found it floating down below, and while at first I thought, nothing of it, was just a bit worried, but that's unfortunate.
You see, she goes, do you mind if I see that?
Oh yeah, here.
You see, she grabs it. She walks over to like this table that has like a huge arcane room kind of like laid out in front of it. She like clears a bunch of books and scrolls and shit off of it, and she like places it down. Like this like contraption like lights up with like runes and like tubes pumping like strange like pale blue fluid like through it, like these like lenses come like focus in on it, and she like tiptoes up a step ladder, peers through the like microscope lens, and she says, "Huh." It is just as I thought. She turns and she says, the Red Wraith was involved in this, but he's not the one who attacked.
Huh?
There's burn marks on this wood, but it's stormwood. It repels lightning. Which means some other party came, destroyed Lagan, presumably with a host of the skeletons we saw, and used fire as well. An extremely powerful magical user, if I were to surmise. There are certain arcane means to determine who might have cast a spell. Certain signatures left behind by spells, but this is a pretty old. From what I can tell, this happened a pretty long time ago, and the traces are faint. It would take me a little while to figure out who might have cast this, but if it helps you on your journey, I can do that.
Yeah, Suma,
Mhm.
Aramis stole a spell from someone, and he said it would explode, right?
That's right. And as well, he was clearly capable of. Well, he stole, I believe, a fire spell from
Oh, fireball? That's
Madeline.
like my
Yes.
favorite spell.
Might have been fireball, could have been something
It
else
really
terrible.
sounded like it was something bigger than Fireball, because, like, we've
Yes,
taken
well,
that.
his glove, if I recall correctly, advances the spell to, let's say, a 9 out of
Yeah.
9 level of power. So a big ass fireball. But yes, Aramis's glove
It was
certainly could have done
Madeline,
it.
right? It was
It was,
Madeline.
yes, he stole it from Madeline, yes, in Galen.
Let's hope that
And
the
threatened
claw
us with
isn't
it, but it
working
was
with the
still in the
undead.
glove when he left, so.
Who's Aramis?
Oh,
An
this
asshole.
douche! You can't. You want to talk about liches? This is the worst kind of guy.
Bitch. Spill. She like sits backwards on her seat and goes,
All right.
Alright, so tell me about your adventures.
Okay, so this guy, he was the first job, right? And we were just supposed to
Oh.
protect the cargo, and like, oh, it seems easy enough. Turns out the cargo is illegally acquired monsters, per se, to sell to another guy that killed lots of people because his wife was the Priscilla chick that was able to get the eye thing. But basically, Aramis, horrible guy, basically puts you in servitude if you're about to die. If you agree to it, you can't really get out of it. You lose your memories as you go. Just the scoundrel of the earth, and he can't die for some reason. He's actually a lot like the Red Wraith, if I think about it. He can't die, and he can put people into an undead crew, which we currently have, and has an undying ship. Huh.
Well, by those means, then you'd also be kind of like the Red Wraith.
Yeah. Well,
Right,
not yet. Not yet. Not the undead crew, just the dead crew, guys. Let's not get
Oh.
crazy.
Well, I mean, they're not fully alive, right?
I don't think that equates, but that does. He is really
Also,
similar to the Red Wraith.
Portia, I thought you could see us. I thought you've been watching us on our adventure.
Yeah, but it's
Didn't
more
you
fun
know?
listening to you talk about it.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
I just
Also,
wanted
I
the dish.
I didn't really see that bit because that's before you got the firstborn.
Oh.
Firstborn?
The portent.
Yeah, I'll peek through them
Oh,
sometimes just because, to be honest, I started seeing you in my visions. I had no idea who the fuck you guys were, right? For like the longest time. Yeah, I mean, I took little peeks every now and then.
Wow. Is that in the terms of service? 'Cause-
I'm a wizard. I do whatever the fuck I want.
Good point.
So if I became a
Um,
wizard, I could also do that. Just anything.
Well, if you are able to advance your magic enough to be able to create items as incredible as these, then I would say you probably get to do whatever the fuck you want with
You could
them.
just ask a higher deity to just give it to you.
Multi-class?
You see,
You
she
gotta be
says,
careful though, 'cause they usually ask something for in turn.
she says, I did take a peek every now and then, and the more I looked, the more interested I became. Because none of you can see the future. None of you inserted yourself in the path of all this. All of you just kind of fell together by happenstance. Pure
Or by
coincidence.
fate. Yeah.
If anything, it's very strange because, as it happens, we have an undead captain with the power of the goddess of lightning, and here is a cleric of that same goddess who has the power of an ancient ring with a very angry lady trapped inside of it. And here comes the next bearer of that ring. It's funny because even with all of our foresight and our planning and our strategizing and our delving into destiny, we couldn't put together a team quite as well equipped as you are already. I don't really know what the future holds anymore. I don't look anymore, at least not on purpose. Sometimes flashes come to me and I try to look away, but I can't. So I don't know what ends up happening to all you. Not really. But the way I see it, I die either way. So I may as well throw my hat in with the rest of you. But I did want to see what you all could do. You all are brave. Missing a tank, but very brave.
Well, hold on. I'm trying to think of an issue with that.
Actually, have you met our crew
Nico?
members? Yes, exactly.
Well,
Usually
Aisha's
visions.
pretty cool as well.
Oh, she has a whole other deal that's gonna happen. That's complicated too. My point is, I can't get. There are no easy answers. I wish I could tell you if you believed in yourself and believed in each other, then destiny will give way and you'll be able to do all the things you want to do. But I can't. All I can say is that there's a chance, and that things have shifted just a little bit already. Who did you use that amulet on?
I used it on Aurelius.
Aurelius.
She types it in.
That's the
Who
new.
is it?
No, I was skipping the song.
Oh, okay.
There was vocals in it. And
Why
I
are
don't
you
like
writing that
when
down in your
there's
journal?
vocals in it.
It's so weird.
Interesting. That's the Windseer boy. I used to. I saw him a couple of times. I peeked through the portent because he had it before you did. He seemed pretty boring, to be very honest with you. Just very sad and mopey all the time. Not the most interesting person to kind of like acquaint yourself with. I looked once and he was crying at a bar, drinking plain water, and I just thought, this guy is not gonna amount to anything ever.
Harsh.
But it's curious. What what has he done for y'all since he was returned to the land of the living?
He's warned us of a danger which we faced because we didn't move.
Interesting.
And guys,
He gave us the prophecy.
he did, but yeah,
Well, he's also given us plenty of information to help us through Gallon.
he did.
He is a happy person.
That's not true.
He's talking a
No?
lot with the Red Wraith, but it's just the Red Wraith killing
Yeah.
him again in his dreams, and we don't really know how to stop that.
Yeah, well, that doesn't surprise
That's not a
me.
happy
That's
person.
kind of the whole deal with Windseers. There can only ever be one. Remember that? That was dropped when Windseals
Yeah.
were first introduced.
Yeah.
There can only be one. And usually, when the next one comes around, the previous one dies. Um, I imagine if he's seeing himself dying at the Red Wraith's hands, well, that's just kind of the way Windseers go. One comes, the previous one dies. Red Wraith returns, Mr. Aurelius has to go. But he's still around now.
Wait, would the Red Wraith be a Windseer?
He was in his previous life.
No.
Mm.
That sort of what makes him a bitch to deal with.
Yeah.
He has command over the oceans, lightning, and the wind.
Yeah. I thought that just sort of went away because the rule of one.
Yeah. I mean, he disappeared for a while.
Oh, you know what? That really screws with things, huh?
Disappeared for a while, and then he came. This is me saying it now.
Yeah.
He disappeared for a while, and then he came back. And it was
Yeah.
only then that Aurelius started dreaming. So previously to that, there was no other Windseer, so the cycle could keep going.
Do we know what brought him back?
The Red Wraith?
A lock or the Red Wraith?
The Red Wraith?
Oh, Red Wraith.
That I don't know. That I honestly have no clue.
Do we know if he ever actually left? There's only 2 people that were there at the end then. You said yourself.
Maybe.
Yeah, Nazaire and Yeska. So I guess we gotta ask Nazaire that question. More Yeska because we have to ask Yeska a lot. Hey Suma, want to talk to Nazaire? You're probably a big fan.
Weirdly, as much as I hate Yeska, I'd rather talk to her than Nezzy.
He's a bit weird.
What?
Yeah, he's kind of a pain in the ass.
I
kind of
hear
on
if I
purpose.
talk to him, he's going to put a fine on my head, so.
Yeah,
maybe
that sounds like him. He's just kind of like a bummer all the time. By the way, that was like not as a result of tragedy. He was always like that.
Oh, really?
I believe
Yeah.
that.
I thought it
Yeah.
was like the defeat was sort of what got him.
No, like from the jump, he was very
Ooh.
arrogant, and he was very much like, "Oh, other gods are stupid."
Thought maybe he got sad when Zariel became the Red Wraith, since they had a whole.
Yeah. We've
Yeah,
sort
Yeah,
of...
that's definitely part of it. I mean, that's for sure part of it.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, like, I mean, he's more of a prick now. I'm just saying he was a prick back then too.
Okay.
Mostly, I'm saying this so you can tell him later because I want him to know that I think he's a prick. You want to know why I want him to know that?
Are you mad at him?
Because I told him, Nezzy, I'm hiding in Kalsana. I'm telling you, just in case, because you're very powerful and you got a whole army and shit. I'm trying to hide from Yeska. Don't tell anybody. What does he fucking do the first time someone asks? He fucking tells you where I am.
Well,
He
I
broke a
mean-
promise. Which...
Oh, we did win it fair and square.
We did.
Yeah.
Oh,
Rules are
okay.
rules.
So all of a sudden, ancient tradition is worth more than a fucking pinky promise between all crewmates? That's
you're
fucked
right.
up.
No, you're right. Yeah.
Actually, yes, that's a good point.
Pinky promises are pretty much oaths.
Was it actually a pinky promise? Did you actually use pinkies? Like,
Yeah.
were they-
Wait, did you see his
That's
other
messed up.
hand? Did you see his other... I've been tricked by this before. You give them the
No, I
pinky
saw
promise
both.
right, but... Oh, okay.
Yeah, I rolled a nat 1 on my portent, and then I...
On what?
on
You
my
rolled a what?
portent, and I said
No.
dominate person, and then I made him pinky
What are you
swearing.
saying? What does all this mean?
It's wizard talk, you would understand.
An oath under duress
See what?
doesn't count.
Anyway, so he did make a pinky promise to tell people
Okay.
where I was. But I guess, maybe it's part of the plan that you guys came here. I mean, I saw what happened anyway, so I knew inevitably he would betray me. But still, it hurts a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Something being
would
predestined
suck.
doesn't make it not suck.
Yeah, like if you make a pinky promise and then you immediately see the future of them breaking it, stings at the moment too, for sure. Yeah, that's... How about
Yeah.
no one should be seeing the future. That it seems like a bad deal.
Honestly, we'd probably be better off.
Well, thank you for the food. I got all the things I've already asked you about. I appreciate the help and all that. I do hope that you'll continue to help us in small ways in the future.
Yeah, speaking of, I actually had a proposition. I don't know what y'all are up to these days, what your next move is going to be, but, if you are interested in saving time, I could teleport you somewhere if you need to go somewhere.
I mean, okay, guys, while Bolivar, the words are hard and places are going to be, I think I'm gonna be honest. We need to go to Jassar to get those gauntlets. We can't leave without those gauntlets.
It's true. We can't.
Look,
We
we
really
did
need
a
them.
great deed down here, and now we're doing another great deed by bringing tons of refugees into Jassar. That's gotta warrant us for getting free gauntlets, right?
I don't.
That's how that works.
They might not care.
I
Don't
doubt
know
it's
if we
gonna
get
work
that
that way.
before the
That
refugees
was
show up. Also,
the granny was the one selling that, right?
No, that's the guy who was addicted to Suma the whole time.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Shit. Yeah, the alchemist was the
He's gonna be
granny.
so upset that there's like.
don't worry. When Zisha becomes matron, I'll just have her buy them with government funds. It's fine.
Ooh.
Ooh,
Okay.
alright.
Okay.
Using positions of power for your own use. All
Just
right,
like
let's
Aaron.
go,
Used to be the trend
Suma.
nowadays.
I see. So that's why you're getting all these people.
That's okay. Okay.
That's
Smart.
all
What an
part of,
asset.
Let's
all
go.
part of my plan. I don't know about,
Let's go, baby mama.
but
Yeah.
well, there's still a matter which we haven't really talked with you about, Portia, but we sort of have been thinking about the choosing that's happening, which
Yeah. That's gonna be a whole thing.
is a whole thing, and also something that Yeska's wrapped up in. And I don't know
That
if we need to
sounds
deal with
like
that
her,
since
to
it's
be
sort of
honest.
on a time limit, if I recall.
Hmm.
You could just teleport us to the very end.
Well, it does require me to kind of know where that place is.
I have a map.
Yes.
I don't know if it works that way.
Well,
It must
hold
be
on.
known to me.
I don't know. This map idea.
I
I'm
guess
liking this.
I could go to. I could use description. I imagine if you teleport to a place that you're only supposed to get there if a god allows you to be there, that getting there in a way that isn't ordained by that may lead to you being burned alive with like lava and stuff.
It feels like it's against the spirit of the thing, but
Feels a little bit like it. I mean, I'm all for breaking the system though. Here, you see, she says, let's see what's going on with the choosing, okay? And you see she goes back to her crystal ball, and she kind of summons up kind of is scans through. You see like different like places in Palea, like zooming over the island from like a bird's eye view, coming down. And the first place she goes to is Bronos, right here. And you see seat of Clan Bronzesmith, by the way. Um, she zooms in, and as she does, there is nothing there but devastation. Just like Torah, Bronos has been devastated and torn apart by a massive earthquake.
Well,
It doesn't look as bad as Torah. There are more survivors, more buildings left standing, but it doesn't look good. You see, she says, if Yeska's involved in this, I fail to see how any of this is of any help to anyone.
can you see any of the other cities?
There is a limitation to this, but you
May I
see,
suggest one?
yeah.
Cobra, perhaps?
Ruby, do you have any? Do you react in any way as he says that?
Just, like, just like very like clearly uncomfortable. Like,
All right. She zooms into Copra, goes over kind of an overview of the city. Kind of you see the quarry off all the way one side of the city. You see the buildings; they're standing. There doesn't seem to be any damage done to Copra whatsoever. The marketplace is nice and bustling. The tunnels are like filled with people, and in this vision, they're really more like hazy, like shadows imposed upon like kind of the image in this like smoke that's swirling around within the ball. But people seem to be there. You get the sense that there's people like migrating to Copra, kind of en masse. And you see, she says, "Situation seems fine over there. Not much to, not much to worry about, right? Maybe Yesuke hasn't sunk her claws into this one yet."
Out of character,
Yeah.
Liz or Shino, there's a lot of political stuff going on. What was Yeska's plan? Like, what did we think Yeska's plan was with all this? Like, I know that the ring is behind it to a degree, but why do we think they have motivation to do so? I remember
The
I don't
talking
whole
think
about.
we I don't think
deal.
we ever knew that.
I
Did
feel like we
we?
talked about possibilities of why they would
They
want to win. What does the
had
winner
like a
get?
deal where like you had to pay money or we're going to
Yeah, there
your
was something about a tithe.
place.
There
I
was something about bribery happening. I will remind
yeah.
you of a couple of things. Per Yeska's words, to what degree she is trustworthy remains to be seen, but she said that she doesn't really have anything to do with what's happening with the ring anymore. She left. Presumably because she
Yeah.
was like, oh, I have to change destiny again. I'm gonna fuck off with these shards and do my own thing. Alright, ring, like, do whatever you want. Which is why the whole talk about the master left and things changed ever
Yeah.
since the master was gone and was replaced. The new master is full of shit. When you talk to Varric, the dead guy that Ruby animated in the cellar in Yasar, he was like, to what I remember, they were like basically holding people hostage, saying, "We will kill your chosen and like fuck up your entire like city if you don't like help us do what we feel like doing. If you don't agree to X, Y, and Z." Um, uh, uh, Presumably that's what happened to Tora, but according to, I forgot who exactly said it, but apparently what happened in Tora happened ahead of schedule. It
Mm.
wasn't done the way it was supposed to happen. It happened too early, which is why Shamit and Rustic got trapped down in the tunnels while they were doing other stuff when the earthquake hit. Presumably, if the ring coordinated that, um, they would have been out of there by now, and they would have had to be potentially crushed by falling rocks. But to your knowledge, the plan is we are going to basically offer you protection of your chosen and guarantee you get a boon, or we are going to kill your chosen if you don't support us. So really, it's a win-win for you if you support us. And that was like what kind of Varric told you about the plan.
All right. Well, hey, how many? Like, when is the choosing gonna end? Like, how long is it gonna be?
I believe it begins in a couple days officially.
Oh,
Like the gathering at the caves in order to venture towards Mount Pelea. The pilgrimage is set to begin officially. Although, if your chosen dies before that time, then the punishments apply just the same. In fact, they're even worse. If you don't even make it to the starting line and you get knocked out,
yeah,
that's
I do
kind of,
remember that.
yeah.
Oof.
If we leave right now, guys, we could just miss the whole thing.
I mean, we got
We have
pretty big
3
fish to
days.
fry.
We have 3 days. We sure?
Well, let's go to Bar Vault first, and maybe before we go, are we sure we don't want to visit your family? You haven't talked that much about them, but like, if we live in, you know,
Oh, you want to see your family? I could put your family up on the ball.
No, that's not necessary.
Are you sure?
I've never even
Yes.
seen them.
Darn.
Should
We
have
should
been
put them
though.
on the ball. Yeah.
It wouldn't even be no problem at all. Like, seriously, you killed a mind flayer, you healed all those people back there. It's the least I can do.
You know what? While we're digging all this, let's see everyone else's
You sure?
families first. No.
Well,
Let's see
that's
everyone else's
weird.
families first, and then we can go to mine. If you guys are,
You know, I think this is wrong. Maybe we shouldn't look at anyone's families.
yeah.
Eeny, meeny.
Near the porch, it's
uh,
quick.
You know what? I'm gonna roll a d4. We'll go Alok 1, Gallet 2, Ruby 3, Sumo 4.
Not two. Not two. Not two. Not two. Whew.
Alok.
I'm stealing the port. I steal the crystal ball or whatever it is. I'm running with it.
Yeah, give me a dexterity check. Give me a saving throw to like leap out of the way.
Leap out of the way.
They kind of sorry, leap and like kind of cover it or grab it.
I'm sorry, Sima. Yours would have been the most beneficial, wouldn't it? If it could.
Probably not.
On a 15, Alok, you reach out as Portia is spinning the mist. The rest of you, for a moment, see a nice seaside town. You see we're zooming in slowly as the library is like kind of forming inside of the smoke of the crystal ball. But before we almost enter through the doors, we almost go in when Alok suddenly jumps really across the table. Alok, you turn as you jump. You watch this like time kind of slows. Portia's eyes like flicker up at you, and you can tell there's a moment where she's like, "I'm gonna fuck with this kid's roll right now and make it a nat one or no." And then the no portents are used. You jump over. You kind of do you just like grab it or do you try to cover it like?
I'm just trying. Yeah, I'm both. I'm just trying to get it and like make sure no one
I
can see
think
it.
I think you try to grab it at first and realize it won't budge, and you just kind of like cover it with like your cloak or your scarf or anything like that. And she goes, "Whoa,
That's a bit much.
that's a strong reaction."
Yeah.
Well, I mean, this is kind of weird. We're kind of prying. You know, I'd rather to meet him in
Yeah.
person, right?
You know what? That's extremely fair, and yeah, I guess because like if they were in the restroom, that would be invasion.
That would be very awkward, and I would rather not
Actually,
see it myself.
We were all okay when it was my family.
The ball is enchanted to only
What?
zoom in on you if you're not doing anything like private. You know,
Oh.
there's an element
Well,
of like
Whoa,
kind
I
of are you out
mean,
what
in
if-
public?
is it 100%? Like, I don't want to risk it, right?
Well, what if? Okay, hear me out. What if you were doing something that was totally fine, but there was like a streaker in the background? Would that go by?
No, it's pretty selective about who it zooms in on. It's like pretty good. It's magic. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Once you had 400 years to refine your magic, you can enchant stuff to do some pretty cool things. For example, you know those portents?
Yeah.
They're enchanted to always return to me. So whoever has them,
Make it
Uh-huh.
die?
one way or another, they always end up back in my cottage, or they were always designed to come back to me at the end of the day. I put that enchantment on them a long time ago. I made them en masse for the fight against the Red Wraith the first time. I was like, hey, maybe these will help. Made a bunch of them after, took a long time, but made a bunch of them. And I enchanted them to be like, okay, I know people are going to want to hold on to these, so I'm going to enchant them to come back to me. And then I died during the fight, right? Didn't get resurrected till later. And then what happened? Right? They don't come back, but they do kind of trickle in over the years. Now, finally, the last four back in my cottage. Ain't that nice?
You want them?
Are you taking them back from us?
I could.
Do you
I
want
could make
them?
them stop working if I wanted to.
I feel like you should, in fact, do the opposite and give us
Well,
all the ones that you have in your cottage.
If we have all of them, think about how hard it would be for the Red Race to win. Super hard.
Unfortunately, once they return to me, they stop working.
Oh, so we're here. So does that mean?
Well, until you
That's-
give it to me, it's still yours, ain't it?
Well, then you're not having them.
So they haven't returned to you then?
Yeah, I mean, they returned to my doorstep. I'm just letting you keep them. I could take them back from you forcefully if I wanted to.
This in my own
obviously.
pocket dimension. How can you do it now?
I don't know.
Plain
Kill you
shit.
and take the bag.
Suggestion, not one.
Wait, do you have it in like your shit?
Yeah, you see, she
Marvel.
goes, well, you kids sound like you got a lot to do, a lot to take care of. You've met me now, so sending shouldn't be too difficult.
Yeah.
Actually, you knew me beforehand. I was surprised it took you so long to remember that, actually. But you can reach me whenever if you have any questions. I'll try to clear up any bullshit I didn't happen to say at this point in time. It's a really long story and it's very involved, and I tried really hard to give kind of like the spark notes of it.
Yeah.
Named,
What?
of course, after Ulysses Spark, a famous professor over at Inkwell Academy. Um,
I
uh,
feel like I heard of
uh,
him.
Are they allowed that
yeah,
there? They
his
like to
his
use it?
spark notes were basically like they were a magical enchanted notebook where whatever you put inside of them would be summarized and made more concise, and if you read them it'd be easier to retain. It's like a
Is
revolutionary
is
thing
there a
over
spark note
there.
about him?
I don't personally own it, but I'm sure there's a spark notes of his biography.
I heard most teachers don't like that though.
Yeah, they consider it as cheating, right?
Yeah.
But if you go to like a wizard school, cheating is kind of almost preferred. You know what I mean?
No, that's
Because the
true.
whole point of wanting dominion over magic is to fuck with people and systems. Uh, what was that saying? Right. Anyway, so good luck storming the castle. I don't know if you're gonna go chase down this Yeska lead or not. Um, Feels like a lot of people are gonna get earthquaked to death if the ring keeps doing that thing they're doing, if that is what they're doing. So hopefully that stops. Otherwise, fuck, what did I put? Professor Vienna Willow in Ravenhall. In case you wanted more about that, um, in case you need to know anything more about like questions about magic or like what's going on. She knows a lot of stuff and could probably analyze Deadwater a lot better than I can at this point in time. That sound good with everyone?
Yeah. You should probably get
I
your
don't need
rest.
to. I don't need to RP it, but I do want to leave her with the other shard.
Cool. Yeah. And this is well,
Aliceris is one.
right. Cool. But he's dead.
Yeah, he's dead. Like,
How long?
yeah.
I don't know. Suma doesn't buy that. I mean, he like
Unlock the
he's still gonna do
memories
it.
of Alicerius.
Suma is still operating under the assumption that at some point they're going to take Aliceris out of the ring, and it's gonna be fine. Out of
Let's
sheer
hope.
willpower, if nothing else.
Let's hope.
Cool. Then she says, "Yeah, well, I can't really leave here because if I do, Yeska's gonna teleport on me and then try to stab me or something.
Oh, maybe we should do that.
Stab
That'd be
her?
bait.
Yeah, I'd rather
Don't
not.
worry.
Wait,
I wouldn't actually make you do that, but
Wait, did she give us our dead water yet? Or
Yeah, she
Okay.
definitely she just you see she goes, okay, let me just she sends like an unseen servant to go and like go up to one of the pitcher plants and just like scoop it up in a vial, and hand it to you. Um, there you go. Hopefully that's helpful.
Yeah?
Don't know why it would be, but I mean I'm not sure if they will be, but hopefully they are. Anything else that I'm forgetting? Anybody want any spoilers?
Hmm.
Well, like, would they help us?
Some of them will, some of them won't.
Whatever is helpful, right?
I've got this book that just tells me lots of things on a specific topic every time, every day it changes. I was trying to read the thing called Batter in the Rye or something. I don't know. I don't remember. It changed the literal next day. I didn't have enough time. What
Oh,
happens?
that's nice. Well, basically, he finds out that he was the phony the entire time.
Oh, it's one of those. I was hoping something a
Yeah.
bit more better.
Yeah, well, that's kind of how these things kind of go. It's like the sad ending is the point. It's real depressing.
Okay, I guess I had to have read it. Oh well, that's about it. And one more thing. Nah, have a good day.
Okay. Nobody else has anything else. They want to
And
ask
one more thing.
Portia.
Come on.
No more and one more
not
things.
this
And one more?
time.
It's
Okay.
crazy that this is like your opportunity to get as much lore as you need, and this is the time where nobody has questions, or people are like, I don't know what to ask.
What's your favorite color?
We
Yeah.
ask questions.
What? No, but it's funny because there's like these long periods of like nobody's gonna ask a question, but then there's like times where I'm like, I just want this NPC to leave, and everyone's like, no, you're not fucking leaving, you
Well, hold
idiot.
on. Hold on. Do you know the date of today? You don't know, do you?
Um, but yeah, you see, she bids you adieu.
Thank you.
She says, well, once you know where y'all want to go, come back here. I'll spot you, teleport wherever you want.
Okay.
Well, not wherever. I prefer sending you somewhere I've been before, so it's a little more safe to take you there.
Can you take us to the moon?
Haven't been there quite yet. No.
Oh. I heard there's a dragon up there.
Yeah.
Oh.
Dominic. Yeah, the moon
Oh,
dragon.
Dominic the Moon Dragon.
Yeah.
Oh.
Odd name. How do you know his name?
Everyone knows about Dominic the Moon Dragon. It's the reason nobody goes to the moon because he's a dick.
Oh.
Yeah.
The
We
word
discovered how to do
Dominic
that.
Dragon.
Yeah, we discovered how to do that like ages ago during the Age of Explorers. Of course, they're like, let's explore the moon,
Of
and they got up
course.
there, and they're like, wait, there's a dragon up here, and he's kind of a dick, and so now we don't go there anymore.
Dominic the Dragon's a dick?
Yeah.
Indubitably.
He doesn't
Right.
have a fire breath; he has gravity breath, and if he hits you with it, it actually
Ah.
just crushes your bones from the intensity of the gravity.
Oh, it wouldn't suck you up and you just eats you?
You basically get compressed down to a single point. It's
Ah.
pretty gruesome.
How
Don't we have to get to some sort of choosing thing?
Something like that. I don't
Dominic
know.
the Moon Dragon.
I'm just here to sip tea and answer questions.
I got questions about Dominic, but I'm gonna risk that the book knows about it eventually.
Yeah. Give me a. You want to ask about Dominic
Yeah,
right now?
yeah.
The book?
Like, oh book, where
Alright,
for
you
thee?
open the book. I'm rolling a d20 right now. This is how relevant this is gonna be. On a 7, it's just like a big illustration of like a big dragon
Oh.
sitting on the moon with like a snapback, and he's like smoking a cigarette. And there's a little description that says Dominic the dragon, comma moon, period colorized, and underneath it just says is a dick like most of the time. Do not engage.
It's just this one page.
It's just that page repeated
Yeah.
over and over again.
Oh.
Actually, it's that page, but when you flip through the pages, it becomes animated,
Oh.
and he's just like continuously turning his snapback to the front and then to the back.
This guy sort of seems cool, guys.
This guy seems dope as fuck, actually.
Actually, guys, I don't know. I mean, look, if we need a backup for the fight, I want Dominic on our side.
Well, he is notoriously indifferent to what happens down here on the surface, but
He hasn't met
you
me
know,
yet. You know, I can talk to this guy.
always
I got
worth a
this.
shot.
Yeah. All right. Well, now we're just staying here too long. Goodbye.
All right, see ya. Come back when you want to teleport to. I got your back.
All right. This day, guys. It's a bit, huh? Where are we going?
Very long.
Yeah, where are we going? Marvel, or are we trying to get the knuckles?
I don't think any of us would use the knuckles, but
Ruby.
Oh,
don't mind having the collection.
Me.
By the way, you see she sticks her head out of the window.
No,
and she
no.
says,
No more.
"Oh,
No
by the
more.
no, are you staying the night here, by the way?"
I mean, we're pretty beat up. I was expecting for us to take a nap.
I'd rather not stay near the Death Lake as well.
Why?
Okay, she
Those
says-
wrinkles look great on you, Ayla.
All right, give me a minute.
Wrinkles.
Give me a minute. And you guys just chill for a minute, and you watch this giant fucking a huge mansion just like pops up, like rises up out of the mud, fully formed, and
How
the
much
doors
you
open.
energy you have, old lady? Jesus Christ!
Was it like
Whoever
a bouncy
what
castle?
god that could be.
Your tents don't look like this.
Simba, is this like
Yeah.
a higher, like a 4th level? You've been using lots of like
4,
numbers.
Yep. 4. Yep.
4 or 5?
Definitely. 4 for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, you guys. I'm assuming if you guys are going to rest, you guys walk
Yeah.
in and you see that there's like you see there's like these kind of like shimmery outlines of people just kind of like walking about, like setting
Hey, look!
things in motion.
I see ghosts.
Yeah?
I see ghosts now.
What?
Yo, I can see ghosts now.
Wait,
Everyone can see them.
I think
Man, I must have
Yeah.
leveled up.
I'm not getting the same kind of vibe I get from other ones. I don't know.
It's a transparent person. That's a ghost.
Sirs and madam,
That is true.
is there any way we can help you while you are within the magnificent mansion?
Oh, magnificent mansion. Oh, okay, this is a whole mansion.
Whose mansion is it?
It's Porsche's.
Portia's magnificent, man. It doesn't roll off the tongue.
It doesn't. Yeah, there's no.
No, it doesn't. One would imagine
alliteration.
she'd change her name so it would alliterate, but
Yeah.
unfortunately, she has not taken the actions necessary to do so. Anyway, I can pour you some wine if necessary. We can clean your clothes here. We're here to serve.
Ooh, clean my clothes. Yeah, my clothes, for certain reasons, need to be cleaned pretty badly. Do you have any replacement clothes?
Absolutely. Well, they will disappear as soon as you leave the mansion, so just make sure to change back once your clothes are
okay.
rinsed.
Yeah, okay. Since you're already cleaning that, can you clean these? And I take out my burned comedian outfit. It's just all messed up. There's a dragon.
Ah, yes. Gross. We can get right on that. You see, they kind of lift you up, Gallet, and take you somewhere to give you give you the full spot treatment. Later on, when you see Gallant, he's decked out in a big robe with the freaking.
I got the little things on my eyes with the green
cucumbers.
Cream.
He's actually just floating. He's just laying back on a big a little bed that they're lifting up on their shoulders. The invisible servants. And he's just tanning.
I could get used to this.
And for the rest of you, how can we help you as well? You look angry. Okay, let's get you. You see, he just turns, goes up to a wall, and then as he reaches out, a door appears in it. He opens it, and he goes, I hope you will find that the bed has been prepared exactly to your specifications. We even have a homemade "Keep Out, you jerks" sign upon it, in case you want to put that up. We were told that might align with your sensibilities.
Thank you. That'll be all. Thank you.
Incredible. Ruby, you go ahead and you get to crash. You see one of them walks up to you, and he goes, "And you, sir?"
Just bring me to my room, please. I'd like to relax.
Just a white room with one
Very
bed.
well. You walk in, Alok, and
Ray?
you see that there is this magical contraption. You see it's covered in arcane sigils, and it kind of all rises up in a manner of tubes that circle around to this thing. It's like a halo with these runes in it, and there's a little space underneath it as if to receive the end of some spell. Do you inspect this item? Yes or no? As you walk in, it's a very plain room. This is the only thing of note in this room.
Yeah, I'll check it out.
Okay. As you reach out towards it, a beam of light as magic surges through the contraption, and in your empty hand, a glass of milk appears. And that's all it does. There's also a writing desk there for you and your journal.
Oh yeah, I'm for sure sitting right down and writing down in it.
Suma as well. You see one goes to you, and you, sir.
Say, hot bath and coffee. Lots and lots of coffee.
Sounds like you have a lot to think about. Okay, sir. Immediately draws you up a nice warm bath. They're lighting the fires within it. We don't actually have eyes, so don't worry about any of that shit. Also, we're constructs. But still, please be polite to us. It's not a caveat of the spell. We don't have feelings. It's just the person who designed the spell wishes that people were nicer to waitstaff. So I don't think it will be a problem. But just so you know, goes ahead, brings you your coffee. And you all are able to spend the night. Zisha is eventually able to come in and chill as well, and there is room for your yum bats to roost up on the top.
Scruffles is doing the exact same thing as me. Exact same thing.
Look, they're put cucumbers on my eyes. Scruffles is having the time of his life. They're cleaning out his fur where it was knotted, where the blood had dried. The yum bats are getting a nice, well-deserved rest. And I think as you all chill in your separate rooms, decompressing from the experience of the past couple days, and with the knowledge that pretty soon you'll be able to just choose where you go next, no travel required, saving potentially weeks of travel, probably have a lot to think about as to what you want to do next. So I think that's where we're going to end the sesh. Kind of just a big talky one with minimal dice rolling. Hopefully all that made sense.
Yeah.
I hope that was coherent. If something wasn't coherent, please let me know what wasn't coherent so that I can try and be more specific about it. Yeah. Also, when you guys wake up, you will be level 7.
Woo.
As the
Nice.
lush relaxations and the spa treatments and the shut eye
Just
finally,
over.
yeah, push you over into the realm of level 7, which will be an
It's the milk.
interesting one. It's the milk. The milk makes your bones stronger,
Ooh.
your
Exactly,
constitution
yeah.
increases.
That's a keep out sign.
Yeah,
See,
so that,
Alok finally got that nice spa day. Now he's just inside writing his journal with milk, though.
Nah, he
Oh,
got this
that's so
spa day.
nice.
He
Oh.
got it at the hot springs.
But you were complaining that you didn't really get that much.
I wanted
shine.
more. Yeah, because you guys left too early.
Nah, we left when it was right.
Yeah, that's true.
yeah, how did you guys feel about that one? That one felt different, very different
Oh yeah,
for the
for
nature
sure.
of it.
Well, it's a
I
good
feel
thing they don't
like-
all feel the same, so.
Yeah, I feel like we got a lot of info, and now we have a much better idea.
Mm.
Like we've got a lot of stuff now figured out. Not everything, but a lot more.
Starting to all come together a little
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah, I really had to make the call of like, ooh, should Portia just know the entire plot? And I'm like, no, but I feel like she could at least put you onto the right questions or like the things that are unknown. Um, hopefully that all seemed consistent with what happened before.
Yeah.
Um, I was waiting on that like, oh, the Red Wraith was a Windseer, and that's why his symbol is an eye, like a Windseer's eye, but with like a little storm inside of it. Um, and that's why he also wants to kill Aurelius. That was like a whole thing. But I was like, I wonder when I'm gonna reveal this. I don't know if it's a big reveal, but just like a thing.
A lot of
Um,
revelations. How about that? Lots of revelations. That and for me at least, like Aramis having very similar things to Red Wraith. Very similar.
I was trying to see if Zariel is an anagram for anything, and I think I've cracked it.
Oh.
okay, hit me.
It's R Liz. R-E Liz.
It makes sense now. Everything makes
That's
sense.
So-
true.
It was my plan all along.
I think
That's
what
why
I figured
she
out.
knows so much because
Right what you know, I guess.
I figured out this Portia spell is called Portia's Perfect Palace.
Ah.
Mm.
I was
I
trying to find
wish
that.
that
Yeah.
I put time into that. I just thought of it last minute and I was like, oh fuck, she wouldn't be mean enough to be like, okay, now sleep in this putrid air in that fucking cave again. I was like, oh, she'd cast Magnificent Mansion. Um, but yeah, this was very like, just, this is just pure exposition session, which feels different, but.
We're excited for the next arc. Let's go.
Yeah, we capped it off for sure.
Now, is this season 3 or would it just be continuation to season 2?
I don't know. This is more like
45.
when a show like takes a break in the middle of the season. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Like you know when TV shows used to do that. It used to be like there was like a break in the middle. I don't know if anyone.
Part 1, Part 2.
Mini arcs, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like this was like the first arc of this. This is definitely the end of an arc.
So like a mini arc in the overall arc.
Oh,
Yeah.
Chino, I did have I
Yeah.
forgot. Was there literally any paintings in the palace?
Nothing real. I think if you took it out of there, it would just disintegrate into magic again. But
No. The not that palace. The palace with the mind flayer.
Oh. No, there wouldn't have
Okay.
been. Because there were like things made out of like figurines made of
Yeah.
him out of wood and like brain iconography made out of wood,
Yeah.
like wood carvings of like squids and shit, but nothing like a painting. A painting would not survive in this amount of moisture.
Okay, I'm gonna take one of
Also-
the squid statues then.
Okay, you take a squid statue as a spoil of war.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, was that confusing?
No.
No.
I don't think so.
The thing I was most confused about is like me asking the right like a lot of these times I'm like, did we? I feel like we might have asked this. I feel like I might just not be on the same page. But no,
And
it
there's a lot of
seems
stuff
I
I
definitely
feel like I
felt
need to go back and like remember and because like
there's a lot.
hmm.
But I think we got a lot. Well, at least for me, I understand a lot more than I did last time. Because like now I'm getting a general idea of the whole plan coming together.
Mhm.
So that's a lot better than I was previously. So good for me.
Okay. I'm glad.
I'm also happy we're teleporting. I think.
Yeah, me
No,
too.
guys, when
But where?
we need to spend more quality time together.
Really?
Yeah,
More?
I mean, yeah, guys, I'm worried about y'all.
I
Y'all,
miss just chilling on the ship. That was nice.
That was
yeah.
cool though. All the hijinks we got into.
We got into some.
We'll get back to it someday.
I just remembered. You gotta grab Nico.
Oh yeah, we
I just
can't.
remembered.
We have to.
We have
Is
to-
he okay?
Well, like,
Honestly?
what if he wants to be with his family?
He probably does just wants to chill in Yasar, but
And
he
we
can
don't
I
need to
guess he
take
can
him back.
He
Well,
can be like,
unfortunately,
We can
guys,
make a new
we have
amulet.
to go to Yasar, get the gauntlet, and talk to Nico.
That
I'm
is true.
sorry.
We do have to get the gauntlet.
We need the gauntlet,
agree.
guys. We're no matter what, we're getting all of these weapons.
Just
Should we ask?
I don't
It's
care
like
if
they're like collectibles in the game. We need to get all of them. Otherwise, we didn't
yeah.
100%.
to achieve
Sure.
those.
in this chapter, it's missable. It's the only time you can purchase it.
Once we finish the campaign and get all of
Right.
them, we'll unlock our skins that are like the Nintendo 64 graphics, and it's gonna look so good, guys.
Actually, you can only fight the secret final boss if you collected all of the Zodiac
Now
artifacts,
there it is.
including the
Simon?
super secret 13th one that no one talks about.
I'm
Oh,
up
no.
ready to get Simon. You keep on building him up. I heard what you said about wizards. That Simon guy, I don't trust him.
I've literally like I'm an open book. You know what I mean? I play
Yeah.
with my cards on the table. I've
Yeah.
been telling you Simon's the big bad for the longest time.
You did say that.
It doesn't mean Simon's the Red Wraith. It just means he's the big bad.
Like he's closer to Xandar power level wise than Red Wraith for sure.
Basically, he was the one who allowed the Red Wraith to come back.
Like, okay,
Mm.
let's be honest, guys. Ever since we met Simon, it has been going downhill. Lots of bad stuff ever since we met him.
You met him like episode
He isn't.
3.
He hasn't
Yeah.
cleared out.
Two, three.
Yeah, as soon as we met him, let's be honest.
Wait, but
Yep, get it
it's also
worse.
gone downhill since I met you.
Well, I mean, that's because we all met Simon together, right? That's how that works.
But
Unless
are they not all variables?
Well, maybe, you know what? Maybe it's the ring and then I become the baddie. That is possible.
That's what I think. I think you are the Red Wraith.
I mean, I am learning all your weaknesses, and I'm gonna be honest. You got some glaring ones, guys. You're lucky I'm holding this crew together. Without me, whew.
So, the gauntlet, we didn't buy it last time because it cost an obscene amount of money, right?
Nah, we'll
Oh yeah,
What?
more than it's probably worth, but it's a collectible, so we
Well,
need it.
Yeah, we're gonna
We
do it.
didn't get any spoils from this battle, so could
But
we be like, hey, Portia, you got any money saved up?
she
You
doesn't
don't
need money. She doesn't need it.
Need it. She's trying to die.
Huh.
Can we keep her...
Wait. Can she inflate the economy by making gold?
Can she make gold for us?
Maybe.
Look, okay. How about this? They're gonna have more people in the economy. More money will be needed to be made for the That's how that money works stuff, right?
Is
So-
that how it works?
Yeah, because you gotta have enough money for everyone.
Damn, that's crazy.
Right.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Why do you
That
think
was
we
so
print money?
complicated.
Right.
There you go. Yeah.
Mm.
All right. Well, I think we have a great plan for next time, anyways.
Get bank.
And I do want to apologize to Ruby. I'm sorry we did not get to use your water walking with my ring yet. Next time.
Oh yeah.
Next
It's
time.
fine. It'll happen.
It'll come
It's
I also
worth.
have-
No, you go.
I was gonna say I also have control water now, so I
Oh,
have some
yeah.
more.
Yeah, no,
water-related
that's just fly. That's just a complicated way of Actually, no, it's how much can you carry with
Not.
that?
100 feet on one side.
Wait, 100 feet on one side? What?
I don't know. It said. You're
What
standing
the
water
fuck?
inside
That's
an
the
area.
longest
You choose.
fucking spell description
The
I
water's
have
really
ever
hard.
seen in my
It's
life.
so long, right?
What the fuck is
Holy
this?
shit, that is long. I mean, I think Wisher or Prismatic Spray is probably longer, but This is very long.
Cause all the water was in there.
The hardest spell to pull off. Is it Wish? No.
You'd probably need redirect
Control
flow,
water.
right?
Hmm?
Redirect flow is what you need for fly, I imagine.
Oh. That,
I don't see the older ones really helping.
Oh wait, but
I
it's
don't
a
think
spell
so. I thought
area,
of
so you're like.
redirect flow. I was thinking of like a river raft situation where you like turn around, and then that would be like you change the direction of
Holy shit! I
where you're
can't
going in
read
the
this.
water.
It's too long. My head hurts. You guys,
I
I had
can-
to look through a lot of notes for this session.
Yes, you
Well,
did.
don't worry, you're done with those notes, and we're bringing new ones.
I'm complaining about
Mm.
it.
We'll be fine. What you know what should happen? We're just not gonna read it. Just don't read it, and we'll see what happens.
Oh, it's okay. So it's a cube. It's 100 feet on a side. That means it's 100 by 100 like
Yeah.
area.
So in a 100 by 100 area, you can fly, right? That's the theory. We'll
I
see.
don't think so. I don't think so.
Well, we'll see.
I don't see why not.
Mm.
But also, if we think about it, like, okay, let's think about it this in another way. There is water in the air to a degree, right? So if you just want to like walk upwards, you know.
So if it's raining, you just start floating.
Wait, hold on. If you do, like, if you jump in the rain, can
You
you?
just hover.
Huh.
And then after the rain, when there's puddles, same thing.
It's gonna be
True.
hard. It's gonna
You
be.
can like jump from raindrop to raindrop, run up the sky.
Mm.
Hmm.
You could still step
That's
on
cool
it if it
visual.
was solid, but it is still falling.
Yeah. So what
But
you're
if you
gonna?
run hard enough, you beat it.
Yeah. Okay. Alok has to give Ruby the sash. So for 1
There
second,
you go.
flying upwards. That's how that works.
And then you fall down.
You, this is
Yeah,
someone else.
and then you fall down, break an ankle, and it's like, why did I do that?
It was cool.
Wait. Okay, so now.
I can also use like so I can grab. Can I use like other person? Like assume that you have haste, and then like I'll be like, oh, I will control the water so that she is moving.
Am I
He is
surfing right now? Is that what I'm doing?
That's.
Am I bodyboarding?
Oh, you know what I didn't get to exposit on? Should I exposit on it?
What?
Would any of you have brought up the terms "the great game"?
She did, right? I was gonna ask her about it, but then she mentioned it, so I didn't.
Okay. Because if you guys wanted to know about that, she would have said something about that.
I thought the
just
great
wanted to make
game
sure.
was like the choosing.
No, totally different.
Yeah. Well,
I thought that was wasn't that this thing with what Xandus and Celestia and Terminus were doing?
Oh yeah,
Mhm.
that.
That's like the
okay.
whole
Okay.
what the devil guy was talking about with me.
Cool.
Cool.
Okay. She wouldn't have like the firm details upon it, but I think I wasn't sure if how much I had exposited on that and if that was satisfactory. I was like, oh shit, did I even call it what it is? Okay, cool, that works. Just have to make sure. I'm like thinking back, I was like, did I miss anything?
Yeah, she did. She did talk about that.
I for sure missed a couple things, but it's like you can get that from somewhere else.
We can
later
also
if you-
ask her later with sendings.
Yeah, you can just ask her later.
Yeah, she won't mind. She has nothing to do.
I'm gonna log off. I'm really tired.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, that took
Same
it
to me,
out of
honestly. Me too. See you guys.
Cool.
Wait, so not next
Bye.
week, right? The week after?
I think we can play next week. You know what? I think this is a good week to do to end
yeah.
on, and then break next week and start back up again 2 weeks from now.
Yeah, that's fair.
Right? This feels like a good like.
This is
Okay,
a definitive stopping point for now, where everyone's like, we're resting from last time, and we're about to step out the door.
Yeah.
That's
Into
what
more
it
shit.
is. Yeah, right into the poop.
Yep.
And then next art starts 2 weeks from now.
All right.
That tracks.
Cool.
Okay. Time for the fucking choosing arc finally. Okay.
Well, hold
bye.
on. We don't know that. All right, bye.
Bye.